New mask, same task, Sebastian.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna bug on my desk. Hang on 1 second. Let me try and get this thing off here.
What a cold open.
Yeah. Now there's dust everywhere. It's a pretty small one.
Yeah.
I think the bug is even still on my desk. It's not in the same place. It's farther back. But now, God, there's dust just floating all around me now.
Gotta get that air duster. Listen to this thing. Ready? Listen.
Was that you or was that a machine?
That is a machine. It is a duster.
Okay.
Nice air bottle here.
I'm just kind of trying to wave this dust away from me. It's doing a pretty good job, I gotta say. Okay, well, yeah. Hey, everybody. This is. I'm sure anybody who is not like a regular listener has clicked off by this point. But hello. I've got some thoughts on Doctor Doom right now. We haven't done one of these little. Here's the thing. I was gonna do a review thing of Deadpool before the episode this time. I have no more interest in doing that because of the Doctor Doom announcement where Robert Downey Jr. is gonna be playing Doctor Doom. But if you care about what I think about Deadpool, I liked it. I thought it was fun. No spoilers, but I thought it was fun. I liked it. This casting though, and this is not, by the way, it's by the time this episode goes up, that news will have been around for a while. This is not a hot take, but what a weird fucking decision that is.
It's all right. I think it's a safe decision, possibly. I mean, I don't even know.
It's a desperate decision.
That's probably more accurate, right? Because, like, very clearly, I mean,
hang on, the bug's back. 1 second. It's small, you know. It's not like a big one. Now there's a lot of dust around me again, though. Anyway, go on.
So, okay, I think, all right, RDJ. I think he can be a good Doom. I think I have an idea of what they might be doing with him, but at the same time, it's like you said, it is just it's just a desperate choice. Yeah. Like the fact that the Russo brothers are coming back to direct the Avengers movies, that's great. Honestly,
I don't know that I agree with that actually, because they've done nothing but shit since the last Avengers movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
I mean, it kind of does. They haven't made a good movie since Endgame.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you that they're only good at superhero movies. Oh well. Okay. That's like the fact that they did fine on the Avengers movies. Hopefully they do fine on these ones. They've done a good job with RDJ before. I think they could possibly do something with now this new Doom character. Which, okay, so do you think? Okay, so my assumption is that he's going to be some sort of variant type deal. No shot they're just going to bring him in and he was always in 616.
I hope, well, it's not 616. I know they say it's 616, but it's Earth 199999. But that actually pisses me off. They keep calling the MCU 616 because 616 is the comics universe. Nerd thing to get mad about, but still, it's dumb. But yeah, I think like if he is the MCU version of Doom, they have completely fucked this if that's the case, because he's doing this for what, 2 movies, right? Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. As far as we know, that's the only things he's doing with it. I would be shocked if he sticks around after that, especially because Marvel's paying him like $80 million to do this. I think he will be in a post-credit scene in Fantastic Four. But other than that, I don't think we'll see him outside of those 2 Avengers movies. And that's the problem with this casting, is if he is the main universe Doom, after this he's just gone, and then you've just lost Doom and you've ruined that character's potential for the future of the universe. The other thing though is I saw somebody float the point, NW Movies is the YouTube channel. I saw him float the point that it would not really make sense for him to be it would not make sense for there to be a MCU Prime Universe version of Doctor Doom, because the Fantastic Four, there is not a Fantastic Four in that universe, right? Like we know for a fact the Fantastic Four movie is taking place in a variant universe, and they will merge over at some point. Without the Fantastic Four, there's not really a reason for Doom to be in the MCU. So I don't know, but I think they have to do it. If they do not want to absolutely fuck their chances with Doctor Doom, they have to do it as a variant. I think they could do it as he's a variant version of Tony Stark that just turned into Doctor Doom for some reason. Yeah. I don't think they will do that, because I think Downey probably wants to do something different than just another version of Iron Man. But I think he could do well, provided they cannot have him out of the mask ever. I think if we see his face, it's done. Because then, first of all, you're never supposed to see Doom's face ever, period, in the comics anyway. It's like a big thing, like his disfigurement, we never see. That's part of the character, is that the audience never knows what his face looks like after that accident. I think you can show his face pre-accident, but do not show it after that, for sure. And the other thing is, I think it's going to be easier to disassociate him from Tony if we're not looking at Downey the whole time.
Okay, that's
if we just hear his voice, it'll be easier to be like, oh, that's Dr. Doom. It's not just Tony Stark again. Even though I think there's a good shot that he's also in this movie as Iron Man as well. but yeah, who knows on that. I think, like, I don't know. So it's weird. I get that it's because he'll sell tickets to the movie and maybe bring back some of that more casual fan base who has not been watching all of these since Endgame. But at the same time, I do just think, like, it's such a strange move, and I would have preferred they just get a different actor for it.
Right. So, like, I think I'm not like wholly upset with like RDJ's choice, right? Because, like, I think if they do the variant, I think the best choice is honestly like an Iron Man variant, especially. And then, like to your point, saying like he wouldn't want to be like another Iron Man. Like, technically, like, this is not the same Iron Man. It'd be a much different version than what he's like played in the past. And like, I think in that point, it wouldn't like. I know the Iron Man, like Doom or whatever. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think he has the same like disfigurement or whatever. You know, so like I don't like he would be taking off the mask more, but like to your point, like I don't know how they would like then get a Doom in our universe, because like you said, once they use this Doom and he's a variant, like they've ruined it, like they can't use Doom anymore.
Yeah,
and so like that's why I'm like hoping he's a variant. They like separate that and then like somehow bring in like our own Doom at some point possibly.
Yeah,
I don't know how that would work, but yeah. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. But like, I'm not like truly upset with RDJ. I think he does a great job with these movies in general anyway. So I'm like excited to see him back, but like it was like when I first heard it, I was like, just why?
Yeah. The thing is, though, I wasn't even surprised because I had heard this rumor was floating around like a couple of weeks before the announcement. I had heard the rumor and I was like, that's dumb. I hope they don't do that. And then I saw him pull off the mask. I was like, fuck off, man. No way. I don't know. I saw somebody, I think my thoughts on this are similar to, I saw a comment on a YouTube video somewhere. And this person was saying, like, for some reason, like Kevin Feige had like 2 break glass in case of emergency stuff for the MCU. One of them was Dr. Doom in the MCU. The other was bringing back Robert Downey Jr. And for some ungodly reason, he just decided to hit both of them at once. I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm sure he'll do fine, but I do think like this could really just, I don't know. I think this is a very short-sighted decision, and I think it could end up making it so that the MCU is after this kind of drops off a little bit, because I do think, again, it shows that the MCU is not like eventually these guys are going to die, right? That's the other thing. These actors are going to die. You cannot keep bringing them back over and over. You have to invest in getting new talent and building them up, because a lot of the original, Avengers, who are now all like insanely famous, were relatively unknown when they were cast, and they got built up through this, this universe. If you're not going to do that with other characters and other actors, then once these guys all die, you're going to be fucked. So you gotta, I think, like, I don't know, weird choice ultimately is where I stand with it. But new mask, same task, So.
Yep.
All right, hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is the show where every episode we talk about some new comics from the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so, and we let you know what we thought about them, if we enjoyed them, or if we just cannot recommend them to you because they suck. This week, as always, there's some good stuff to talk about, some not so great stuff to talk about, decent amount of stuff. We got stuff like new issues of Captain America, some Absolute Power and Bloodhunt stuff. We got new issues of The Flash. We got a new Mutant series called NYX, the next project from James Tynion, and a whole lot more, but we're going to start off with an issue. Actually, this is a rare instance where what Sebastian made me read is the first thing we're going to be talking about this week. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 from IDW Comics, written by Jason Aaron, and the artist is Joel Jones. This is, I think, pretty much the first jumping on point for the Turtles comics for a long, long time. That's not like a miniseries. And so this is kind of the first time we've been able to really read a Turtles comic, because it's just been going and going for like 150 issues up to this point. And immediately, first of all, I want to say I think this is pretty good. I think it's actually a very solid start to this series. What was very interesting for me, though, reading this, was it's written by Jason Aaron, who also wrote the Namor issue last week. These comics, ridiculously similar in their structure, in their plot. These comics actually are basically the same plot, except one of them stars Namor and the other stars Raphael from the Turtles. I think this one does a better job of what it's trying to do than Namor, but they are both very similar. Because this one, like last one, like Namor, Raphael he's in some like jail in California or something. Yeah, so he's there. And at first we just think it's just like he killed somebody, but it's kind of not. It seems like he might have killed somebody. He did say he is he did say many times in this issue that he is a murderer, but he's also there because he has some deal where he's kind of trying to clean out the place and get rid of the corruption and kind of, from the inside try and, get rid of everybody who's just like corrupt. And so and basically if he does that, then he'll get some sort of deal or something and he can probably leave or something. Just he does have the option to leave, and actually at the end of this issue he just leaves anyway. But yeah, so he kind of he beats up some guys who are trying to escape. They had they did like a Shawshank kind of thing where they tunneled into a sewer system, but Raph was able to get them. And then and then basically he's just sleeping, and then the Foot Clan show up again, mirroring how Namor was in Sea Cage in last week's issue. And then, like, the Defenders of the Deep pop up, they break in and they, like, try and fight him. This one, Raph is in this random jail, and the Foot Clan pop up and try and beat him, and try and fight him. I mean, they're not really there for him. Actually, they just kill the Warden, and frame Raph for it. So now he's just, like, he has no deal. He's just kind of stuck there. I mean, he's not stuck there because he's, an indestructible turtle guy.
Indestructible is saying a lot, but
I don't know, man. People are throwing fucking shurikens at him, and it's like not doing anything. Like,
well, yeah, but then at the end of it, you see him like he's got like 4 bullet holes in his like
I didn't
arms
see that.
And stuff.
But yeah, anyway, he has a bit of a fight with the Foot Clan, and then he's after he gets framed for murder, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go now, and he just drops out into the sewers. And basically is saying, like, well, if they were going for Raphael, they're probably also going for all the other turtles, so he's planning to go and meet up with them.
Yep.
We don't know why they split up. We don't know what Raphael did in the interim period that caused him to end up there. Presumably murder, based on all the narration and everything. But yeah, so that's kind of the issue. And again, I think like the parallels between this and Namor are very hard to not draw, especially because they came out a week apart. But I do think this is the better version of it. I don't know much about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, that from what I understand, it does seem like Jason Aaron has a good handle on Raphael's voice. I think he was written well. I think the narration was good. I think the art was really cool. I think there was some nice, it had a nice grit to it. And the action was very cool, I think. Although sometimes a little bit hard to kind of figure out what was going on in some of it. But still well drawn. And so, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it was a very solid and a better version of what Jason Aaron just did last week in Namor. I think this is a very rare instance where I think that I will probably add this just to my pull list.
Yeah.
I had initially planned to read it, but I cut it because comics are kind of a lot of money. But so I think this is either the second or third series that Sebastian has made me read that I actually is getting added to my pull list, probably. So I did quite like this. I think it's a very solid first issue. It seems like we are going to be getting each of these first 4 issues kind of focusing on a different turtle, kind of a solo thing before they can kind of come back together as a team. So I'm excited for the upcoming ones. The cover for number 3 in particular looks really cool. I'm really, really into that. I'm not a big fan. Michelangelo is my least favorite of the turtles. I think he's kind of annoying. So, and he's who the next issue is focused on. So we'll see about that one. But overall, very solid start of the series. I am actually quite engaged and interested to see what happens next.
Yeah, honestly, I really didn't know what to expect going into it. I really had no expectations, honestly, just going into this one. I didn't really know what direction they were kind of going to choose with I didn't know what direction he was gonna go in with this one. But like genuinely, this one surprised me. I actually really enjoyed this one. Like you said, I like the grittiness of it and stuff, and like I really like the art. I know a little bit. I probably know more about the Turtles than you do. I have seen a lot of their shows and stuff in the past, so I know a lot of like their enemies and stuff like that, like Foot Clan and a bunch of the other alien things that I just won't get into right now. But
Bebop and Rocksteady.
yeah, those are other mutants. Do you know about the aliens?
I know about Krang. Is he one of them?
Yeah, that's the alien I'm thinking
Okay.
of.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Foot Clan Shredder. I assume in this one Shredder is no more, considering his daughter is the one that is the leader of the Foot Clan right now. So I am assuming that Shredder is no more. I really enjoyed this one so far. I mean, I think for the most part, I think my favorite has been Raphael of the four usually, simply because he just feels so much more similar to like a Batman than any of the other ones, honestly.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this one for what it was, and yeah, I gave this one an 8.
I'm also giving this one an 8. Yeah, I go between Raphael and Leonardo for my favorites, I think.
The purpley man?
You
don't like...
No, Donatello's the purpley man.
Yeah, you're right. Oh,
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, Leo's the blue guy. I like his big swords,
The dual katanas.
Yeah. And, Raphael uses the Sai, which is famously the weapon of Elektra, who is also Daredevil right now, who is also the same as, that's my favorite character.
What should we go with here?
Well, that is your decision.
That is my decision.
How does it feel, Sebastian, to hold all the power in this moment?
I don't know.
Are you going mad with power, Sebastian? Are you getting power hungry?
I think I might flip the script here. Yeah, I don't know. We're going with 6 fingers.
Okay. Is that really flipping the script?
No, I was thinking of something else, but I couldn't decide.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the 6 Fingers, written by Dan Waters. The artist is Sumit Kumar. This is the finale of the 6 Fingers. I kind of wish that this had dropped a little bit closer to the One Hand, as it's been about a month or so since the One Hand dropped. And as a result, when I was reading this, I felt like I kind of closed the book mentally on this kind of dual series thing.
Yep.
And so it kind of felt weird to jump back to this one. But essentially, yeah, it's it's picking up kind of where the last one is. Ada is being interrogated because she was in Johannes's apartment. And so while this is kind of happening, Johannes he's over at the airport. He's trying to leave Neo Novena. But as we know from the One Hand finale, that's not really possible. And so he goes and he gets captured while he's trying to run through the airport. And the person who comes in to interrogate him is his dad, who has been presumed dead for a long time. He's the one who gave him the arrowhead at the very start. Mm-hmm. Johannes has assumed he's dead for a long, long, long time. But kind of through their conversation, it becomes very clear that Johannes's dad is a cog.
Yep.
And this is kind of loops back into Helena's story from the One Hand, where when they die or get out of commission, whatever, they get repurposed and just sent back out into the world as a different person. And so that's what's happened here. And they don't know their cogs, right? Johannes keeps saying, like, they made a better cog, and it's kind of not distinguishable from a human in a lot of ways. He never outright says it, but yeah, I'm still like, it's very, 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 very heavily implied that Johannes is in fact a cog as well, especially since he can read the code and nobody else can read the code, really. Yeah. But so yeah, he kills this person, this cog who was his dad, finishes the code, and then he has that run-in with Ari again, which we saw the other side of in the One Hand. Interesting, what we didn't see is that after Ari leaves, he comes back and just shoots and kills Johannes. So Johannes is dead, but the code is complete. And when the code is completed, all of the cogs just go and like commit mass suicide. They all just go up to the top of a roof and just fall off of it. And that's kind of where it ends, is they all drop off, and it's just the humans kind of just looking on as this is all happening. Because again, this Neo Novena was created for people like Ari to find purpose in a world where things were kind of just perfected and there was no need for humans to work, and they had everything provided for them. So for people who really needed that purpose and needed to like do something like Ari did, they made Neo Novena for those people. And that's where the issue ends. That's where the series ends. And yeah, I think it was good. I really liked it. I think it's about on par with the finale of the One Hand. I might have liked the finale of the One Hand a little bit more because of the nature of the kind of peeling back the curtain and seeing what this was all about, getting the backstory on the world finally. But I do think like the ending of this issue and the series had a really just chilling effect. Just seeing there's a big double page spread. You just see all the whole bunch of the city and just like probably close to 100 Cogs just standing on various roofs and just throwing themselves off it. Like it was really like a pretty effective scene there. And so that ended the series out on a really, really positive note, I think. The rest of it, I think the exposition stuff was all good. It was cool. It was fine. I do like how it leaves some stuff kind of up in the air, or not even really up in the air, but it trusts that the audience is smart enough to figure it out without having to just directly dump it on you. And so, yeah, very solid, very, very solid conclusion of the series. I think on the whole, it's a series that, or rather these two series, I think were a really interesting experiment in telling a singular story through two dueling perspectives across two different series. I think it was a really interesting experiment. I think it largely worked. I do think that the Six Fingers on the whole was better than the One Hand, more engaging. But I do think the One Hand stuck the landing just a tiny bit better than the Six Fingers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, okay, so you're forgetting that the at the very end though, the what I am assuming is like the creator of it all, right? He steps through the crack in the wall, right? And he grabs the arrowhead, and I think he puts it on something, but it's basically just like the head of like one of those like cuckoo like bird water drinker thingy majiggies. So like that's another thing that I like. What was that supposed to symbolize? Honestly,
no idea.
Okay, you were also confused by that. Cool, gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, on a whole, I think the Six Fingers was better than the One Hand. I honestly did not like the ending that much. I didn't like it that much, honestly. I thought it was like just like kind of like I understood the whole like everybody's like the cog thing. Like I don't see why the code was meant to just turn. I guess the code was meant to just turn the city off, I guess, right?
That seems kind of that way, yeah.
So then what was like I just like in the end what was the whole point of everything? Man?
Well, I think because the people who created it wanted it to be that way to give the people who needed that purpose that purpose. I think this was kind of the Cogs being like, well, hang on, we are not just here to, you know, fulfill these other people's purpose. We're here to have a life ourselves. And so if we're just stuck in these loops, fuck it. We're just going to shut this whole thing down ourselves as the Cogs. And
so the Cogs, so that's why it's implied that Johannes is the Cog, right? So the Cogs were the only ones that got like taken over or whatever, you know, like went like crazy and did the whole One Hand thing, right?
Yeah.
So then why was E the other half of? Is it because the world or the city was made specifically for him?
It's possible. I mean, Johannes does at one point say they made all of this for you. And now I think you could interpret that as like Ari specifically. You could also interpret that as just like you as in the people who need purpose. But yeah, because that is a good point about how they kind of set up this like almost prophecy kind of thing with Ari and Johannes. And then they didn't really explain that too much. So maybe it is all built for him. It seems insane for them to make a whole city for one person, but
that's what I'm saying. Because like obviously, like towards the end, you saw like one of the suicides fall right in front of like Ada. I think that's what her name is, right? And I think it was Ari that like took her in his arms.
No, it was Mac. It was Mac.
Was it the other one? Okay, it was the other one. But then like so obviously those two aren't they're not Cogs. So like was the city all like was it made for them? Because like it didn't feel like they had much of a purpose.
That's true
either.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that is It probably so I think that also probably means that it was made for everybody who needed that purpose, because again there was a second where I thought literally everybody was jumping off the roofs, but no, they do show that there are people who are not part of that. So that it probably was not made just for Ari.
So oh man, this just I feel like it's left a lot kind of like a lot of things up to interpretation, you know? And I don't like that's not entirely a bad thing, honestly, especially when you're trying to do like this whole mystery behind it thing, you know? But like, man, I think this one just like I think it left it a bit too open, honestly. It's too open to whatever because it's super like concise and like it's a very well done story to the point where it's like it doesn't feel like there's like a lot of like plot holes in their story, you know? But like, oh man, I don't know. I'm iffy about the ending on this one. Just Johannes dying like that, and like, I mean, I guess I don't know. To be fair, if he was a Cog, he had to die anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also partially kind of smart about them killing him off before the mass suicide?
Yeah, we don't know.
Because that also means that we don't officially know, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, okay. Overall, Six Fingers was good. I would give it a read. Honestly, it's very interesting. It's very. I like the whole dynamic between this one and the One Hand. I did like I liked how towards the beginning it felt like they weren't revealing a lot, and then towards the end it kind of felt just like we were getting the exact same thing a little bit. Specifically like with like the fours, specifically like that hospital room one. Like I feel like we repeated a lot of the scenes in that one. And like that's bound to happen if you're just gonna like interact the two so heavily. But like that one for me specifically was just like kind of all right, simply because it felt like we lost like half of the Six Fingers because we had already seen it in the One Hand itself. But like the beginning of it was really good because like the One Hand you saw the murder after it happened, and then in the Six Fingers you saw it as it was happening, and like it kind of had like this back and forth of like the Six Fingers like, okay, I know what's happening, but then in the One Hand you see the detective figuring out what's happening. So it was like, it's very interesting idea, and I think they handled it very well. I think just overall, I just didn't, I wholly didn't, I wasn't fully satisfied with the ending. As a whole. So, but other than that, I think this series was very good. I enjoyed reading it. And so, yeah, I'd give it a 7.
I'm going to give it an 8. I think one thing I do appreciate about the ending of this, I do think actually that it managed to provide endings to both without spoiling either of them in the final issue. Because, I did think like, well, how is the final issue going to work if it's just like Ari, killing Johannes or something? Won't that just play out the same in both? But they managed to make each issue separate and tell separate stories while still wrapping both of them up together and apart, and not spoiling either of it. And this is one of those ones that I do think I might want to go back and read just all of the One Hand and the Six Fingers kind of together. Just to, I feel like it might help me understand some more of this if I do that. I don't know if that'll actually happen. Just there's a lot of comics to read, and we got to do the show and everything. But yeah, very, very interesting dueling series here. I'm gonna go and talk about the Flash now.
Right.
This is The Flash number 11, written by Cy Spurrier, and the artist is Ramon Perez. God, I kind of wish I had made you read this, because this is everything that you hate about this series, Sebastian. It is, God, I have no fucking idea what happened here. This was more of the really dense, high-concept, sci-fi techno-babble thing, while also doing these kind of cosmic horror stuff in the background. I think broadly I kind of know what was happening, and actually this provides a lot of answers, this issue. But at the same time, just the way it's written is confusing as fuck. So I will say right off the bat, one thing that I appreciate about this issue is that Wally does kind of come back into the fold a little bit here, which I was happy about, because I did say recently how I was, kind of puzzled about the fact that this was, starting out as a Wally book, but then kind of just transferred into a Barry book for a little bit. Wally is back here again. He has been completely emptied of all of his Walliness and is now just kind of an empty husk, an empty shell to essentially just do the bidding of the Archangels. Because what we kind of find out here is that the Archangels and, oh God, okay, bear with me. I have no idea how to explain this, but the Archangels and the Stillness, they are both like kind of offshoots of this great cosmic being, or like just this great cosmic state called the Deep Change, which is like the creator of time, and it's also the thing that provided the Speed Force to all the people who have the Speed Force. And in return for them using the Speed Force, then the Deep Change can experience its creation, time, and just life through the people that it has chosen as part of the Speed Force. But as a result of this, it's very chaotic. And so the Stillness and the Archangels both want peace in the time stream, but they have different ways of how to do that. The Stillness, they just want to die. They've been living for so long that they just want to die. They're bored. Whereas the Archangels, they want to destroy time completely. So the Archangels, so they like bait Wally into running really fast, and he's like running. He's trying to. I think they're trying to like make him break the light time speed barrier, whatever. I don't know. But so they kind of bait him into running super fast through everything. We see that the roads were all kind of pawns of the Archangels and the Stillness and everything. Through this, the Stillness somehow die, and then at the end, Wally. The way that the Archangels want to kill time is to send Wally fast enough through something so they can kind of enter the time stream and inject the Eobard Thawne personality, which is now stored in him, which also acts as like a poison that will just destroy the time stream. And then the rest of the issue is just like Barry and Linda and all the Flash family kind of trying to talk about getting Wally back. There might have been more that happened in that period. I don't really remember. It was a confusing as fuck issue. It was dense. It was very challenging to wrap your head around and understand and just like work through it and pick it apart and try and kind of figure out what's happening. But again, I am at the point now where I just like this series and I liked this issue despite it being confusing as fuck. There was some cool art, cool like trippy psychedelic art. At one point it kind of devolves into this horror-esque sequence. It was cool. I liked it a lot actually. And this series, like it's very interesting, I think, and it feels like this kind of piece of text that you're working through in this kind of big, dense like tome that you are kind of trying to sift through and work through. And obviously that's not for everybody. Sebastian fucking hates this series, but I think it's cool. I kind of like it now. This is another one, much like the Six Painters in the One Hand, that I want to go back at some point and just read through all of it and try and kind of see if I can pick it apart and kind of understand it more. Because I think at the start of this series, I was not reading it like that. I was just kind of reading it like any comic. And as a result, I think I missed a lot of stuff and also was just kind of overwhelmed by the size and the scope of it all. But now that I've kind of adjusted to what this series is, I found myself really enjoying it. I want to try and go back and kind of see if I can kind of understand it more looking through it from the start. So I like this quite a bit. I'm giving it an 8. I think it's cool. I like it.
Well, thank Christ I didn't read that one.
Don't worry, you will at some point, Sebastian. This series is going on for long enough that I'll make you I'll make you read a Flash issue again at some point.
Well, boy, oh boy, am I looking forward to that one.
But you've gotten 2 months off in a row, so
I have. I can't complain too much.
Yeah. Both because of James Tynion, by the way. Both were James Tynion series that I made him read instead of this.
Oh, speaking of James Tynion, let's go read his.
This is The Nice House by the Sea, written by James Tynion IV. The artist is Alvaro Martinez Bueno. So this series, to anybody who doesn't know, it's a DC series. It doesn't feel like it. It's basically an indie series. It's published by DC Black Label. It's not. There's no superheroes or anything involved in this. It is very much its own thing. But it is technically a DC book. It is the sequel to another series called The Nice House on the Sea, or The Nice House on the Lake, rather. And so I like right before this series dropped, I kind of binged that entire series. It's 12 issues. It's not that long. So I binged all of that in preparation for this. And I figured, essentially the premise overall of this series, without spoiling too much, is the basically there are these aliens that have come to Earth and they're kind of scouting out the Earth and trying to find the best examples of humanity, one in each particular field that they deem, and they want to find those people and save them, bring them to this kind of pocket paradise to just live out their lives and kind of provide an example of the kind of best of the best there is. And when they pull them to that pocket paradise, it's the same day as the apocalypse happens, which is this really kind of grotesque, like horrifying apocalypse where the world just like is engulfed in flames and like people's skin is just literally, it's melting off of them, but they're still conscious. They can see it like slewing off of them. They don't really feel much, but they just are like watching themselves melt and disintegrate. And so then these 10 people, it's 10 that they're supposed to bring. They get brought aside to live out the rest of their lives in this kind of paradise, and then they're kind of in competition with each alien is kind of in competition with the other members of their species to see who can kind of have the best pocket paradise. It's not really like explained why that is, at least not yet, but that is kind of the overarching premise of this whole kind of project that is happening here. So I thought that this series, because it is an issue number 1. It is a sequel, but it's issue number 1. It was marketing itself as like a bunch of new characters and everything, and there are a bunch of new characters here. Most of these characters are new. However, there is stuff where I thought this was going to be less connected to Nice House on the Lake than it actually ended up being. So that is why I'm going to throw to Sebastian and ask your thoughts here first, because I have read the Nice House on the Lake, but you have not. So I'm very curious to see how this read to you.
I mean, I think they did a good job of like kind of keeping it separate, because like I understood for the most part what was going on. I understood like, right, because it opened up with, I forgot his name, but it was like the writer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
This is going to be a problem with this series. I'm not going to remember most of these people's names. There's kind of a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of know them by their like job titles, if that makes sense. It was a bit easier to read with that like that way. But if I remember thinking, it was the writer. He was at like this was the day before the apocalypse, I believe, and he was like at a bar, and he basically like asked this random guy at the bar like, what would you do if you had like 18 hours before the apocalypse or whatever. And like he told him, and like that's kind of how I figured out some sort of apocalypse was happening. And then
that's not the writer. That is the alien who asked that.
Was that the alien?
That's the alien who asked that. Yeah.
That looked a lot like the writer.
Yeah, that's the alien. Because every issue kind of Nice House on the Lake opened with the alien of that series, Walter, recruiting and kind of it showed kind of his kind of earlier interactions with each member of the group. Each issue showed each intro of each issue showed him kind of bonding with and talking to a different member of the group that he was pulling into the house. So that is the alien.
I thought okay. So I thought I thought the alien was Max, who could like open up portals.
Yes, that is Max is the alien, and that was Max asking the person because he knew that's why he's asking them. It's because he knows the apocalypse is coming. He's trying to figure out what they would do in the if they knew they had only a short amount of time before the apocalypse. Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, so that's how he. Okay. So anyway, that's how I knew kind of like there was some sort of apocalypse happening. I didn't realize this was like a pocket dimension, but I didn't really ultimately think that like truly mattered. I understood like at some point they talked about, or Max specifically talked about some sort of like competition. I didn't know it was against other aliens, so that's something I know now. But for the most part, it was just kind of like a big introduction of just all the characters that are living on this Paradise Island. And so like you didn't like there wasn't a lot of context thrown into it. It was just like why I think it is thrown in why they're there. I don't specifically remember.
It's just all because they're like super.
They're like the best of the best in their like fields or something like that.
They have achieved these incredible achievements and everything. They've done these huge things in their fields. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically just how they interacted with each other. Towards the end, it was the ending of this one was that they all had to like meet up for like a meeting, and they basically were just like. I don't remember what the purpose of the meeting was really. I think it was just to like basically.
They just do meetings every night, I think. To
every night, yeah. I know. I mean, like I know that like a big thing about this one was that like, or about this entire issue really was just the weather.
Yeah.
It's being controlled by one person. I believe it's the doctor. That's when the writer walked in, and was like, "Listen, I wanted to go into the boat today, but this other person told you he wanted the storms today. Let's move the storms for the night and bring the sun out now." And so that's what he did. So that was like basically like that was really just a big part of just like showing just really how they're living, like everything that's controlled.
Their relationships and conflicts and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, like overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't too confusing, honestly, to me. I understand there's a lot more to it that I don't know. But I assume it'll reveal it as it goes on. But for the most part, I think they did a good job of like kind of keeping it separate, but like at the same time, it's still connected, but like separate to the point where you don't have to, for me at least, it feels like you don't have to read the last one to understand really this one.
That's interesting because you don't have to read it to understand it yet. You might have to in the future, by the way.
Maybe.
So a couple things here. One thing we also didn't mention, this is something that they introduced in Nice House on the Lake, but I just feel I should mention it here as well, is that they can also ask for pretty much anything they want. They just have to write it on a piece of paper. Next day it'll just appear. So, if they want any supplies or anything, it'll just show up when they write it. So that's one thing. So here's the other thing with this. I think right now the problem with reading this one and not reading the previous one is less about understanding what's happening and more about the impact of the apocalypse. Because in the first series, it follows the characters as they get to the house. And so, like, these guys have been there for 2 years. They all know what's going on. They're used to it. In Nice House by the Sea. But in Nice House on the Lake, they get there for the first time, and they're all friends of the alien as well. They're not, whose name is Walter. They're all friends of Walter. They are all kind of loosely kind of fit into the archetypes of their fields. But they mostly are there because Walter really loves them and wanted to save them from the apocalypse. There's also a whole thing where he brought actually too many people because he didn't want to. There were some that he didn't want to leave behind, so he brought people who were extra, which was like you can't do that. You're not allowed to bring more than 10. So there was some kind of drama there as well. But anyway, regardless, so they see the apocalypse happen like on social media from the nice house on the lake, and seeing that just seeing the skin like melting off people, it's way more impactful than how they just kind of are just talking about it in a very blasé way in this series. So that's kind of, I think, the main thing you would have missed. The other thing, however, though, is we see Walter in this issue very briefly. It's in flashback, but we see Walter because essentially we found out in this that one of the characters in this house knew Walter and actually was invited to go and stay with Walter and his group instead of this group. So he knew Walter, but he decided not to go with him. For some reason, he decided to go to this one, though. And then at the very end, that character's going somewhere. I don't know. He's just kind of hanging out. And a portal opens, and out pop Nora, Reg, and Ryan from the nice house on the lake. They are 3 of the people who were at the nice house on the lake. They are part of Walter's nice house. And they all know this other guy. But them popping through there at the end of the first issue and seeing Walter and everything, that's when I was like, oh, shit. Sebastian probably is not going to get quite the significance of this, because that's a huge thing. And it's also, so then it opens up all these questions like, how did they get there? Like, there was not seemingly a way, because the nice houses are surrounded by force fields that you cannot leave. So it's like, how did they get here? Like, what's going on with their house? Like, and they're also saying something about, like, they seem to think that they can potentially still save the real world out there. So it raises a lot of questions. Really interesting cliffhanger that loops this in much more to the nice house on the lake than I thought was going to happen. I think, as for the rest of the stuff, the character introductions and interactions and conflicts and everything, it's all good. James Tynion, he knows how to write good, interesting characters, and I think they all work well here. Some get more screen time than others. I think as this series goes on, we'll see kind of more of them get highlighted. But yeah, I liked this. It does not make, I don't like this as much as Nice House on the Lake #1. I think that has a bigger impact. But I think to set this series up, it's in a good place. And I think the question marks over what's going on with the other Nice House and why these characters are here and how does this other character, like, how does he fit in with Walter and the other Nice House? That stuff's all really interesting. So I liked that stuff. The rest of it, I think it's slow, but it's interesting. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes as well. And great art as well, by the way. So I think I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well for me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so to your point, yes, I understood everything, but like, yeah, the impact for me was definitely not as heavy as it probably was for you. And I think that's fine, honestly. I think going forward, it'll end up being just fine. I assume it's just going to explain everything anyway. I think it's kind of interesting. Just like, for me, like that whole ending scene, I was like, it wasn't a big deal for me. I was like, okay, something's happening. But for you, I guess it was just like, oh my God, this is ginormous. I'm just like, yeah. So I think that's interesting, just like her two perspectives on that one. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this for what it was. I think it was pretty good. Honestly, I'm also giving it an 8.
Okay, let's how about we do some Rook Exodus here, Sebastian? This is Rook Exodus #4, written by Jeff Johns. The artist is Jason Fabok. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is it's a big fight between Rook, Direwolf, and Carapace versus fucking what's her name? Viper? That's not Viper. Boa? It's some snake thing. Python, maybe? It could be Python. That sounds right.
It might be Python. Yeah, Python sounds right.
And then also Ursa. So Ursa has popped up and also the new swine as well. They also fight the guy with the new guy with the swine helmet, which is probably my favorite sequence of the issue, where Rook kind of fucks him up and then the pig eats him once it's the pig eats the guy with the helmet once the helmet is no longer on him anymore. That was pretty cool. So I actually don't remember too much of the series besides that, though. Just that there was kind of a big fight, and yeah, that's what I remember.
Okay, well, I can fill that in here a bit. Yeah, so it obviously takes place right after the last one, with Rook basically saying that Ursula is there at the compound or whatever. So what they do is that Direwolf and Rook go out in front while Carapace stays behind, and he's like evacuating children on the turtles or whatever. And so, yeah, obviously they, Rook and Dire have that fight with the Python lady. They kind of get split up, and so Rook fights Swine while Dire fights Python. Swine dies. Although I remember it being that the wolves eat Swine, not the hog.
Maybe. I thought it was the hog, but
I mean, I could be wrong on that one too. But yeah, he gets eaten by one of the two. Python is, I guess, an ex-student of Direwolf, but she was kicked out I guess, because she became basically too much like a python. It was just like too violent.
Yeah,
think
she
is what
let
it was.
the snakes kind of influence her,
Yes.
like get into her brain and kind of change her personality or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Carapace, while that's happening, Carapace is trying to like evacuate the world seed, which like connects every rook on the planet, and that's what Ursaw's after. So he goes in there. It's unclear whether Carapace dies or not. He's just like, when we see him next, he's just like kind of unconscious on the ground. But Ursaw has the world seed, and that's when Dire and Rook show back up. Ursaw makes quick work of him. We see Rook's face. Actually, I think we've seen it in the past, haven't we?
We've definitely seen Rook's face before.
That's I don't know why I thought that was a big deal, this issue, really. Yeah, so basically it ends with him getting thrown off a waterfall, and he's
right, yeah.
not presumably, it's like insinuated that he's gonna die, but we know he's not, so
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, the art is still fantastic, but I do think this is probably my least favorite issue of the series, actually. I don't really know what it is, like, why that is. It might just be because we kind of are still in the same place as we were last issue, and so as a result, the world building, there's not like a lot of new stuff in this.
No.
And actually, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the fight itself, actually, as well. I think the fight was decent, but I was expecting kind of a more explosive, kind of really huge brawl between all these parties.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really that. It was kind of a bunch of small individual little skirmishes, which were all good enough. I don't think they were bad, and I still like. I like the voices of these characters. I think it feels, it feels like tonally like it's right for the series. It doesn't feel overwrought in its narration or anything. And the art is fantastic. But for some reason, for whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure why, this one just didn't really click with me that hard compared to some of the other ones. So I still think it was good, but not quite to the level as, especially the most recent 2 issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said. I think it's just like, there wasn't world building. There was a little bit of character lore between mostly with Python, only with Python, really. I think I'm kind of getting I'm not getting sick of it, but at this point, every single and other Rook has said the same thing, that he just doesn't. He's not really using his power to its full potential, right? He's just hated his crows the entire time, whereas Dyer has said it at this point. Ursa has said it this issue that the crow, I think even Swine said it. The crows are just they're not helpful to you simply because you don't use them correctly. And I mean, obviously, that's gonna be the big thing in this. I feel in this series is he's gonna finally learn how to talk to his crows or whatever. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see. He got thrown off the waterfall with Swine's helmet, so maybe that's gonna have some significance in the future. But yeah, I think it was fine. Like you said, I thought it was also gonna be this big battle thing where it was just a lot of individual skirmishes. Even the Swine battle, he died so fast. There wasn't even anything there, honestly. But yeah, overall, I think it's still the better of the Ghost Machine books, but this one, it definitely has not been as good as the last 3 that we've gotten. So yeah, I'd have to give this one a 7.
I'm probably still gonna give it an 8. I think it's good, but I've given the past couple a 9, so it's not quite up to that level.
All right, well, moving on, we got ourselves an Ultimate Black Panther.
I barely understood what you said there, but I think I heard Ultimate Black Panther, so we're gonna go with that. This is Ultimate Black Panther number 6, written by Brian Hill. The artist is Carlos Nieto. So here's the thing with this. This is the end of the first arc.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it, though. And there's still, nothing really going on here. I mean, there is a little bit. We do see, we see Ra, or we see either Ra or Khonshu. I think it's Khonshu going around and
yes,
performing some miracles, healing a very sick kid, and kind of been recruiting him to Khonshu's army. So he's kind of been doing this a lot. He's kind of going around and performing these miracles, and then because that is fostering such belief and faith in Ra and Khonshu, those people then, become his Moon Knights and join the army. And meanwhile, Wakanda, they're very much kind of walled off. They're in their kind of little kingdom, kind of separate area. And so people kind of are losing faith in Wakanda because it's well, they're kind of doing their own thing. Where's Black Panther? Where's T'Challa? Where are the people who are supposed to help from there? So essentially, Ra or Khonshu, I think it's Khonshu again, he goes in and attacks this munitions factory or something in Africa. And T'Challa also ends up going there, and it's run by this pretty shady corporation, but at the same time, Khonshu's also like killing a lot of people who are working there. So Black Panther goes, he goes in, and they have a bit of a fight, they have a bit of a confrontation, not much of one though, and no. Ultimately it ends with Khonshu being like, hey, like what's going on here, and T'Challa's like, we're not going to give you vibranium. We're not going to give you the rest of that other element. You are on your own on that. And so Khonshu's like, well, then it's going to be war, I guess. And that's where the issue ends. So it feels anticlimactic to me. And I think, like, again, there's stuff that happens, right? Like, officially, it seems like there is now an official declaration of war between T'Challa, or Wakanda rather, and the forces of Ra and Khonshu and their new nation that they are building. So that's big. That's a big thing. But that's kind of it. And it's one event, and it does feel like it's kind of, it doesn't feel like the issue itself is really building to it in a way so that when it gets there, it feels consequential. Instead, it gets there and it's like, okay, it just kind of feels like something just kind of happened, right? It just kind of feels like a sequence of events that are happening, but without really building into each other. It's just kind of going on. And none of the events are such big holy shit moments that it really kind of feels like it can carry it on its own. So I don't know. I don't hate this series. I think the dialogue is often pretty solid. I think the art's cool throughout most of it. The sequences can be quite decent, but I don't feel it. It's not clicking still. It's just whatever for whatever reason, it's just not clicking. And we'll see if that changes in the next arc, because next arc is apparently War of the Kingdoms.
Yep.
And that's cool, and I'm excited to see that. And hopefully it really feels like a big consequential thing. But I don't feel like it's been built up to very natural, not even naturally, just in a way that is really engaging me and making it feel like it's a big thing that's going on. And so, I don't know, I think this one felt anticlimactic. There is also a brief scene where we kind of get more development between Storm and Killmonger. Apparently they're together in this universe, but that's not much of anything. So, I don't know. I'm not sure where to feel on this, but I just kind of feel like it's not really doing anything in this series, even when it is.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's the fact that it feels so short, honestly. I read this so fast. And it's not like there's not a lot of dialogue. It's just the fact that it's such a short read, it feels. Like, I literally, when I finished, I was like, oh shit, that was it? That was, took me like 3 minutes. So fast. For me, that's the whole thing. It's just, that's why it doesn't feel like anything's really happening when things are. It's just, you read it so fast, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, like, that was it? Like, I was expecting more. And, I don't know. But, I don't know. In this one, we had that talk with T'Challa and Shuri or whatever. She kind of insinuated that, like, he has a thing for Storm. And then, just War of the Kingdoms, I guess. Ra and Khonshu, I think they were fine in this one. I don't know, man. I really don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I kind of like, because it does develop them a little bit more, where it was saying, where Ra wants their like adulation, and he wants people to like worship him and everything, and Khonshu just wants raw power essentially. And if they ever come to kind of blows, which it seems like they might at some point, I think that would be an interesting direction to go. But if they ever come to blows, then it seems like Khonshu would probably win, because he's building up his forces in a smarter way than Ra is, who just kind of wants everybody to worship him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think this one is fine though. It's just, I genuinely, when I finished reading, I was like, oh Jesus, that was it. Like, that was so fast. But yeah, besides that, I think it's fine. 7.
I'm also gonna give it a 7. I really hope the next arc starts like picking stuff up. I'm not like on the verge of dropping it yet, but I'm just like, come on, guys. All right, well, let's move over to Universal Monsters: Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, number 4, written by Dan Waters and Ron V, and the artist is Matthew Roberts. I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed by this issue. I didn't like it that much. I've liked this series so far, and obviously I liked the Universal Monsters Dracula series a lot, but this felt like, this tonally... Here's the thing. So, first of all, what happens in this issue? Essentially, Kate manages to kind of escape Darwin Collier, who's the serial killer who has turned himself into like another version of the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's done this by like the creature kind of like sheds its skin like a snake, so he's kind of grafted it to himself to kind of try and make him one of the creatures as well. So Kate kind of starts to leave, but then she hears like the narcos are in there, and because they did go into the cave, and Darwin like slaughtered all of them. The narcos also killed the scientist dude, and the other guy, Cristiano, he got mortally wounded. He was like begging for help just outside of the cave where Kate was, but Kate decided to go back and kill Darwin ultimately. And so the creature is also there and kind of saves Kate from being killed by Darwin. And then she like just fucking like really brutally kills Darwin, and the creature leaves, and he's like, I don't fuck with this anymore. I'm out. And then Kate leaves and runs into Christiana, who is also dead, and that's kind of where the issue ends. So I think my problem with this series boils down to the fact that I don't know. It feels a bit, I don't want to use the term false advertising, but it feels a bit like false advertising in the sense that the creature does not feel like the main character in this series, which is fine, because Dracula kind of wasn't in his series. He was a supporting character.
Yeah.
But his presence was kind of always there, right? His presence was so pervasive. It really permeated the entire series. And every issue you were like, shit, like you could feel him kind of looming over the series. This issue, the creature's just kind of there. He just kind of comes and goes when he wants to and doesn't have much of a presence. Because this series, it doesn't feel like it's about the creature. It feels like it's about this serial killer. And the creatures just kind of also happens to be there. And I think, like, this issue also, I think, kind of promised a fight between Darwin and the creature. And there kind of is one, but it's pretty shit. Like, it's over in a second. And so, like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like where Kate's story ultimately led, you know, her obsession with killing Darwin, or just, you know, taking him down, ended up with her being so focused on that she ended up kind of losing everybody else around her. I think that was, like, it's dark, but I think it was interesting. And similarly with the scientist dude, like, his obsession with the creature kind of also got him killed, although in a different way. He got killed by the narcos, but he saw the creature and he was like, I can't kill it. Like, I just want to see it. Like, this is so cool. I like, let me, like, just, you know, be a part of this moment and just respect this creature as a thing of nature. And so we kind of had the opposite character arc that Kate did. He still ended up dying, but so those character arcs, they were interesting enough. But I think I don't find Darwin that interesting as an antagonist, and the creature just was not enough of a presence, I really think, to like make me interested in it. And so it kind of felt like this creature from the Black Lagoon series was not really a creature from the Black Lagoon series, and just didn't have the presence to carry it for me.
I mean, okay, so I think, like, the idea behind it was basically that, like, Kate is like the monster, right? Then in the end they both ended up alone, right? Which was like the whole cursed thing or whatever, that like the monster felt alone, and then at the end Kate is just also alone or whatever. Because like that was like the whole thing with, like, I think that was the whole reason, like, why the monster didn't kill Darwin, right? Because like it like felt like it was kind of like him and it didn't feel alone. And then when Kate went in there, she literally and like killed Darwin. The monster came back, kind of like looked at her, and she literally apologized. And so like that was like the whole premise, is that like they're both like, if they're meant to be alone or whatever. And that's, you know, Kate. And it's like you said, that was part of Kate's obsession with the fact that, like, inadvertently letting Cristiano, right?
Yeah.
Like letting him die. Like, she didn't know he was out there when she like first left, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. It's
right, but her obsession with Darwin meant that she turned around back to the cave and didn't end up saving him. Yeah.
It's the same with like the scientist, like you're saying, like with the scientist, like he inadvertently let Cristiano die because of his obsession with the monster, which led to other things, like whatever. But like ultimately, it's all like the entire thing was just about ending up alone, and I think that was like super random, like turn at the end. Honestly, I think it would have been fine if Cristiano had survived towards the end. I think the scientist dying ultimately wouldn't have mattered. Like, he felt like his story ended once he was able to actually see the monster. I think Kate's the way, like, her killing Darwin, I think that's fine too, I guess. I don't know. I just think this story took like a weird turn towards the end, with basically them relating the monster and Kate basically being the same. And I just don't know really how to feel about that. Yeah, I think it's weird. I think as a whole, I enjoyed the way this one started, but then I think it kind of lost me towards the end here. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.
Yeah, I'm also giving it a 6. I kind of disagree with your interpretation on the confrontation between the three of them, though. I don't think that the creature saw Darwin as, like, close to him. I think the creature saw, like, Kate as kind of close to him, or, like, what the creature kind of wishes it could be. And then when she, like, killed Darwin when so brutally he would like the creature ended up being disappointed in Kate and turned on her then. That's kind of how I took it more. Yeah. So I don't know. Regardless, I also don't really understand. Like I don't think it did a great job of explaining the connection between the creature and Kate and like why it was so interested in her. I don't know. Whole thing just kind of weird. So I do think like this issue, I think actually does bring down my opinion of the series as a whole. I just think it's a pretty weird ending for it.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Got 10 left, yeah. That would be Captain America number 11, written by J. Michael Straczynski, and the artist is Jesus Saiz. This is also where part 2 of the weapon extraction thing happens, written by Ryan North, and the artist is Javier Garrón. I read that, but I'm not going to talk about it. Again, like I said last week, it's Deadpool and Wolverine do the multiverse, and that's about it. The main story, though, I gotta be honest, fucking loved it, man. This is probably my favorite issue of this series so far. Essentially, it follows Captain America and his group, who it's Skins and like I think Becca is the other person's name. She's not listed, but I think it's Becca. And so they're going to meet this other change agent whose name is Malik. And his power, it feels a little bit similar to Becca's power, but he essentially can see the future of any person who walks into his chamber. And so Cap and Skins and Becca, they all go there to try and recruit him. And so he's kind of taken on this role of just kind of sitting in this cave and just telling a bunch of people their futures, right? He's like, these people need me. They want me to provide them some form of certainty and knowledge and perhaps hope as well by looking into their futures and kind of telling them what's ahead for them. He's guarded by this other person whose name I also don't remember. I think Malik keeps calling her like B or something, but I don't actually know. She's there. She's pretty intense. She's like, I'll fucking kill all of you if you even say anything bad about Malik. But so they talk to Malik. And so Malik tells each of the three their future, kind of. He tells Carlos a very specific to him kind of version of his future. Something that to us is just kind of sounds like meaningless words, but to Carlos it is very meaningful. To Cap, he's just like, you already know, you've seen your future. I don't need to tell you anything, right? And Cap's like, yeah, I know. I'm good with it. Let's go. And then to Becca, he can't actually read her. He tells her he can't read her. I assumed that he just was like, if I tell her like her future, it's not going to come to pass in the same way, and it'll fuck things up. But he says to his partner afterwards, he's talking to her, and he's saying like, I didn't see her future. I saw my own. And he's saying like that he had a good life and everything. So it's very heavily implying this guy's going to die. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to go with these guys and try and help protect, the world. Then we have a flashback to a conversation between Steve and Lyra, where she just offers him the front door cabaret after the whole thing's over. She's like, I know you will, protect this place to the best of your ability, and it will also provide you a home, which is something you haven't really had your whole life, essentially, outside of that one apartment building that you're trying to restore now as well. And then it ends with Death coming and manifesting a physical body and walking the earth. Yep. And so, last issue I was not a huge fan of. We both kind of thought about it. We neither of us loved it. I think for me it was I had a problem with the fact that just Becca's whole like just flip-flopping around felt very weird and not like earned, and just felt kind of in a weird spot structurally. This issue though, it not a lot happens, right? As Cap goes, he talks to one guy, recruits him, and then Death shows up at the very end and it's like, let's fucking go. But like the dialogue was just fucking working for me in this one. I don't know. Something about it, I loved all the back and forth. I thought it was genuinely just so interesting, and the dialogue was engaging. I was just like hooked reading it and just seeing what these characters were saying to each other was really engaging. I think the art looks really good as well. It's not maybe the best showcase for it because it is just a lot of sitting around in a room talking, but I thought it looked really good. And the cliffhanger of like Death being here and being about to attack the front door cabaret, and really again like round 2, but this one a much more kind of feeling like it's going to be a much more climactic confrontation. This worked for me a lot. I really, really enjoyed this. Probably my favorite issue of the series so far.
Interesting. I thought this was all right. All right, listen, I actually did not like the flashback that much. I thought, not that they were meaningless, because I understand the point behind them. I just thought kind of they were boring. I thought the whole future part was a bit more interesting. So, I don't know, man. I thought it was just all right. I didn't mind Malik's character. I think the whole thing with like him not revealing Becca or his future or whatever, I think that has obviously some like hints at the fact that like either he knows that she's evil and he won't say anything or whatever. And then the whole idea that like Cap's future is actually
like true or whatever as well. And then yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought this was all right. I didn't. For me, it wasn't anything too crazy. I don't have a lot to say on this one. Simply like even like the death thing at the end, honestly, to me wasn't that big a deal. Like I just like why have him there if this Becca person is already like betraying life for him? You know, like I don't
know. I think just because he knows like the front door cabaret could and Lyra herself could pose a problem for him later on, so he wants to try and wipe them out first. I think that's kind of how I took it.
Isn't that the whole point of her?
Well, I think like I think I don't know. I think he's just like I need to get and play myself physically now because the first attempt didn't work, so I need to actually be there and make sure this all works. I'm assuming it's like she's gonna be kind of deaths into the front door cabaret. And so he needs to be there ready for when that happens, is my kind of guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. Everybody's like super like Malik wasn't like reluctant to go with them, but at the same time he's not like Skins has been the only one that's been like, all right, yeah, I'm like fucking ready to leave. Like Becca too, she was like didn't want to leave. Although I guess now thinking about it, that kind of was like part of the plan.
That was to try and dupe Cap and make it more comfortable, yeah.
So I don't know. Malik is just like, I'll leave with you guys. Just let me finish telling these people their future first.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was mid, man. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was fine. Nothing too crazy. 7.
9. I thought it was very good. I liked it.
9.
9.
Oh my
gosh.
Yeah. I'm very excited for the next issue. Yeah, I think it should be a cool one. I thought that actually this almost feels like it's setting up the final issue. Like it almost feels like next issue is the last issue, but I'm glad it's not. I'm really glad it's still going because I've really come to enjoy this series the longer it's gone on. I didn't like it at first. I almost dropped it, but I'm glad I didn't. Okay, well, let's move on to Void Rivals here, shall we? This is Void Rivals, issue number 11, written by Robert Kirkman. The artist is Lorenzo De Felici. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The least consistent book in the Energon universe. I feel like every other issue I like or don't like. So I didn't like last issue, so I like this issue. That being said, I was still a little bit disappointed by it. I didn't love this issue. Essentially, it starts off, right, we have the fight that was kind of promised at the end of the last issue, the fight that's shown on the cover. It's Darich, Salila, and Springer just fucking going ham on the Zertonian forces. They're just fighting them all. It's a decent fight sequence. I don't think it's anything amazing. Darich gets in like a power armor suit at one point, which is something, I guess. I do love that he's just a terrible shot. I'm like, yes, fucking let's go. Darich sucks. I hope he dies. He's sticking around for a while, but I hope he fucking dies, Sebastian.
Yeah.
So they have that. They have a little heart-to-heart with between Darich and Salila once the Zertonian forces retreat. This did not land for me at all. I think, and it's weird because I think it's well written. I like the writing between the two characters as they are kind of coming to terms with each other and kind of building up more of a friendship here. I think if it was almost any other character besides Darich, I would really enjoy this conversation, but because he's so jokey and MCU quippy and annoying, when he takes this hard pivot into like a heart-to-heart, like earnest kind of conversation, it just does not feel earned. It just feels like a complete like 180 in his characterization to the point where it feels really jarring. So it didn't land for me, but whatever. We did some stuff with Stretchzoid as well, where he is he talking to the fucking Quintessons? What's he doing? He's talking to somebody.
He's talking to somebody. It's not the Quintessons. The Quintessons had their own meeting.
I don't know. He's trying to like get business or something with some guy. Yeah. Actually, I think it's more like they're on a different planet to try to avoid. No, he gets sent on a mission from this one dude. And he's on this planet because they're trying to avoid the eyes of the Quintessons because, you know, all that stuff, whatever. We also see, briefly, Hot Rod is here. On the information that he gained from Stretchzoid, he has found, like, the energy signature that he was looking for, so he's there briefly. He goes off looking after it, and the Quintessons are also, they see him they're cloaked, and they're like, follow that ship. Something suspicious is going on there. Then we also see, that Proximus is alive. It's a very brief scene, but he's there. And then we also, at the very end, Darich asks about like one of the things that Salila has like on her belt, like a green thing or whatever. And Salila's like, okay, well, I can no longer travel with you, Darich, fuck you. And that's where the issue ends. So I think like the fight's okay. I do think like the cover and the synopsis made me feel like this was going to be a bigger deal than it was. The fight's like a third of the issue. It's fine, but it's not really that special. I was expecting it to be kind of a more climactic confrontation, again, in this one like I did for Rook. But I think the rest of it, outside of the weird and unnatural conversation I feel between Dark and Solilla, I like the Hot Rod stuff. I like the Stretchoid stuff. Stretchoid is honestly, he's become like one of the best parts of this book. I really enjoy him in this. I like the brief looking at Proximus. So the stuff outside of the Dark and Solilla stuff I quite liked. And the fight I think was fine, but not amazing. So I ended up liking this issue a good bit. I think this issue is kind of, it's one of those instances where I feel like it's more than the sum of its parts a little bit, because a lot of this stuff isn't amazing. But I do think that overall it's a pretty decent package as an issue itself. I don't know. I feel like the fact that Solilla is like, I can't travel with you anymore, Dark. That felt kind of out of nowhere as well. I was like, that's weird and kind of abrupt. But either way, I did end up mostly liking this issue, and hopefully it breaks the every other issue pattern next issue, because next issue is the ending of the arc, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good one. So I don't know, decent issue, nothing amazing. It's definitely not the best of the series, but I think it's far from the worst of the series as well.
Interesting. I think also the fight was fine. It wasn't anything too crazy either. Definitely felt Dark's uselessness a lot more this issue than normal, honestly. I don't really feel like there was much of a heart-to-heart, honestly. Like, it felt like he was just talking, and Solilla just like kept like I really don't see where the heart-to-heart was. Like,
it was like a character building moment between the two of them. They had a page of dialogue together.
It was like mostly Dark doing the talking, and then he did have like that whole spiel of like how he like doesn't really feel like bad towards like the Zertonians anymore, even though he's an Argonian or whatever. Like, right. He saw how they're living. He understands that they need the resources a lot more than the Argonians themselves do. And so like that was like the most heart-to-heart thing. But like it was a heart-to-heart. It was just heart to person. Like, she didn't say anything really.
Yeah.
She just stood there and like 2 times almost trying to punch him. And
fair enough. I would fucking try to punch him too.
I don't know, man. She's just angry all the time, though. Like, yeah. Jesus Christ.
I would be too if I was traveling with Dark, though, man.
I think it's less about like Dark himself and just like she is just like super not trusting him in general.
Yeah,
with, like,
I wouldn't trust
everything.
him either, fucker.
Oh my God, you hate him so much, and
yeah,
you're just
I fucking do hate him. Yeah.
Don't listen. He is trying to help her people, and for some reason she does not like that, and I don't understand why. Right, at this point, they have both come to realize that they literally are the same people, and she just refuses to trust anything about him. Like, yeah, she just continues to keep speaking. Fucking it. God, I can't talk about shit. This is horrific. Awful. Skuxoid is the worst part about this, also. Wait, by the way. I hate having to read his parts. I don't understand why we keep I assume he has a bigger part in this. He's like gonna bring something to the table at some point. At this point, I don't know what that is. I hate reading about it. I feel like it just breaks the entire like flow of the issues every single time.
I love Skuxoid.
I don't understand it. It's horrible. Dark is fine. He's the best character in this series.
Oh my God, what the hell is happening right now?
Honestly, just the best character. His quips are great.
Okay,
whatever.
Okay. All right. Settle down. I know you don't believe that.
Honestly, you're wrong about everything at this point about this series. All right. This is the best. Dark is the best. And Skuxoid is the worst, and I don't understand Solilla, and she's too mad all the time, and it sucks. I hate it.
Solilla is my spirit animal. I would also be fucking pissed if I had to travel across the wasteland with that fucking dumbass.
He's a dumbass, but it's not his fault that he's not a soldier. He can't.
I just hate everything about his voice. Everything about the way he talks. I'm just like, shut up, you fucking.
But he's the only one that
annoying piece of
cares. He cares.
Yeah, well, I hope he fucking dies. I hope his care
my
leads him to
God.
just die horror.
I can already see number 12. You're not gonna like it specifically because they're splitting up, and I have a feeling it might. Well, actually, I don't know. It might focus more on Solilla, considering she's gonna go back to the Zertonians, and they're not gonna be happy with that. I don't know. Maybe it'll focus on Darik too.
All I will say is that I hope Darik dies in a very graphic and horrific way, which is shown in excruciating detail on panel, so I can relish in the fact that character no longer fucking exists.
Your hatred for Darik is uncalled and makes no sense, honestly. Suxoid is the worst one about this, hands down. I don't know. I'm gonna give this a 7. I'm gonna
give it a 7 too.
It ruined the flow. The entire flow was like just interrupted the second last half. Like it just like we're talking about this, and then she like drops a bomb that she's gonna leave, and then it just skips to Skuxoid talking to this random ass guy on this trash
her saying
planet.
that she's gonna leave is the last part of the issue. That's the last page.
It ruined everything. Skuxoid is the worst.
Well, Hot Rod was in the middle of all that too. Did you hate the Hot Rod stuff?
Oh, Hot Rod's fine. He's not Skuxoid.
Yeah, this is. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Whatever. We're going to go on and talk about the sacrificers here.
I made him choose twice, people. Let's go.
Oh, wait, no. It's your turn. Never mind. We're not going to talk about the sacrificers.
No, you already chose it. You're going in.
All right, this is the sacrificers number 10, written by Rick Remender. The artist is Andre Lima Araujo. So this is the first issue looking back in on Soluna since issue number 7. This issue follows her as she is essentially just trying to survive now that all her powers have been sapped. And so she's going around basically like begging in the streets, trying to like just get food or in a shelter and a place to survive. She's kind of just getting turned away by everybody. You know, she goes up to the priest and tries to say like, hey, I'm Soluna. And he's like, blasphemy, you look nothing like her. If you come back here, I'm going to fucking kill you. And then so eventually she goes to sleep in between 2 pigs in a barn. She sneaks into a barn and tries to get some warmth, and she goes to sleep. And while she's asleep, the black kind of goo that pulled her off the cliff at the end of issue number 7, it like emerges from her body, goes around the entire town, and just kills everybody. So once that happens, she leaves and runs into Pigeon's family on the road. They're all still alive. I was not expecting all of them to still survive. I think all of them are still alive. They only showed 3, so maybe one of them died, because I think there were 4 of them. I think it was it the brother who would have died then?
It would have been the big brother, unless the big brother's the one driving the caravan thing.
It looked to me like it was the 2 parents and the daughter.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me as well.
Yeah. And that's the issue. That's essentially the entire issue. So it's quite simple,
yes.
But where I was a little bit mixed on the last issue because I feel like I wasn't entirely sure on what Pigeon's kind of character arc is supposed to be right now. This issue though, I fucking loved. I thought this was amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
My favorite issue of the series in a while. And in particular, I think Soluna's character arc is becoming much more clear because now, right, her I think what they're kind of doing, and also I think makes me kind of a little bit more clear on where Pigeon is going, because it seems like they are inverting the 2 character roles, where Pigeon started off kind of in the dumps and in this, horrible situation where he had kind of no hope. Now he's kind of grown into godhood. He has God's blood in him, and he's kind of becoming this, just vengeful being going around trying to kill all these gods. Whereas Soluna started out as one of the gods. She didn't want for anything. She had this like perfect life for her, and now has fallen very heavily, and now is kind of seeing what it's like on the ground and seeing how kind of, just everybody else is living. And I think so her character art is now kind of seemingly like it's going to be her realizing like the gods are shit and trying to kind of help and be better. I don't think this is going to lead to her trying to kill the gods. I don't think that's where her character art is going.
No.
But it is going to lead to her trying to reshape the system and make it better for the people who are living in this, underneath all of them.
Yep.
And so I do think, though, I still think there's a possibility that Pigeon ends up killing her. I don't think it's going to be for a while, but I think that is definitely something that could happen. I think the scene where like the black ooze kind of came out and killed everybody was really cool and kind of chilling and just very, very cool sequence. I do have the question as to whether or not it is still in her. Because if it is, Pigeon's family is probably fucked. That would not be good if she went to sleep and then it killed all of them. I do think, like, it is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if Pigeon's family being alive changes his conviction a little bit. I kind of hope, because I think it's very likely that Seluna and Pigeon meet again. I hope that Pigeon's family is not with her when they meet. I don't want Pigeon to know that they are alive yet, if at all. But I just think like it's a great issue. I think it's a it's a good kind of way to check up on Seluna, provide her a new perspective, and kind of show her a different worldview and show her kind of what's going on from that angle. And to bring Pigeon's family back into it at the end could lead to some really interesting places going forward. So I love this. I thought it was great. It's probably my favorite issue since like issue number 5 or something. I think it's a really, really strong one.
No, yeah, this one was very good. I think, yeah, the whole Seluna bit, like learning basically how life is on the ground and stuff. And like, she even tried to like with the priest, she like you said, like being like, I'm Seluna, like if you don't help me, like my father is gonna like smite this entire place. And the priest was like, yeah, no, you're not Seluna. You look nothing like her. And then also she like realized like kind of like how humans are too, with the way that cop treated her, and just like in general just how everybody treated her. But like for me the most impactful one was the cop, where she was literally just like sitting on the street just like with a cup of whatever, with just a cup, and people were putting change in there, and he's like, well, how did you steal this? She's like, I didn't steal this, people gave this to me. And he's like, nah, you stole this, let's go. And that's how she like snuck into the barn or whatever. But like that's how like, you know, that's the reality of like the world. But yeah, I think her journey is gonna, like, now that she's met Pigeon's family, she's gonna see everything a little bit differently now. I think also the way the Pigeons possibly because we know the father didn't really want to give Pigeon away. I think is how it was.
Yeah, we know that now. Yeah,
and like that's, I think eventually we'll see that like projected onto Seluna a little bit, like with how like possibly how nice he treats her or whatever. But yeah, I think I also don't want Seluna, or I don't want Pigeon's family to be there when like eventually they do meet up again. If they do, I think it'd be more impactful if they meet at first without like Pigeon knowing his family's alive, and then possibly like them showing up later on as they're like having a conversation or something. Or I don't know how that would work, but like I think when they do meet again eventually, I think it should be without the family, and then something happens. I don't know, whatever.
See, but, I think here's what I hope happens. I hope that on Seluna's journey. Oh, this could be interesting, actually. Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I would do if I was writing this. I think I would have it so that Seluna still has the black goop inside her, and it does kill Pigeon's family. And then when they meet, right, like they kind of develop a friendship, and then but there's a certain point where Pigeon somehow finds out that Seluna met his family and unintentionally killed them, and then that just sets him off and like further pushes him down this path of just trying to really kill all the gods. I think that could be an interesting way to kind of build up their relationship, then just rip it apart and create all that more drama and tension and everything. Could be really cool. I think if they go that way.
So I think, right, my take on this would be like, right, they meet up again. Pigeon is on that god fueled revenge kick, right? He's still going at it. So Luna's one of the few left or whatever. And so they somehow meet up or whatever, and then he kills her, I guess would be the thing, or severely injures her or whatever. And then probably the little sister, it would have to be the little sister, walks in on that, and then he realizes that basically he has become the thing that he has hated or whatever, and then that sets him down some sort of spiral in his own mind or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, I'm not sure if I see an ending to this series where either Seluna or Pigeon survives.
I don't see, honestly, I could see Seluna a bit more than Pigeon at this point.
Yeah.
Genuinely, yeah.
I'm going to give it a 10, actually. I really, really like this. I thought it was really, really great.
10? Well,
yeah.
10.
And it's not my pick of the week, though.
10?
Yeah.
Oh, this was pretty good. No, but I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this one a lot. Yeah, I'd give it a 9. I think, you already know what I'm going to choose.
You're probably going to choose NYX, right?
Yep, there it is.
Okay. This is NYX number 1, written by the Hive Mind, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, and then the artist is Francesco Mortarino. So this is the next book in the new X-Men era. It's if you look at the cover, it seems like the main cast is going to be Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Sophie Cuckoo, Laura Kinney the Wolverine, Prodigy, and a Knoll. Now, that being said, this is 100% this first issue. It's a Kamala-centric issue. It is very much her issue. Sophie gets a good bit of play as well, but it's mostly Kamala in this one, and it's her kind of going around still kind of navigating the fact that she is an Inhuman and a mutant. And she's going to this, she's going to some kind of extra classes at ESU, Empire State University. Not a real college, but it's kind of the fictional college in the Marvel Universe. So she's taking some extra classes there. It has kind of become a haven for mutants in a way. They have like mutant classes and stuff. But in the Fall of X, it was actually run by Orcus. So as they're still kind of recovering from that. And on campus, she meets Sophie Cuckoo, kind of befriends her pretty quickly, goes to a class which is taught by Prodigy, and this is the mutant like history of Krakoa class taught by Prodigy, who is also a mutant. And then after that, Kamala and Sophie go to a bar, which is bartended by Anole. While they're there, some people who are like this anti-mutant group, they come up and they're like, "What's the deal with all these mutant attacks, bro? What's going on here? Like all these mutants are going crazy, yo!" And they kind of try to like beat up Anole, but then Kamala like Miss Marvel's out and beats them all up. So they get kicked out of the bar. And then when Kamala's kind of on the way home, she has a run-in with, well, first she has a run-in with Laura, the Wolverine, and Laura's kind of like, "Stay out of this. You don't want to be any part of this. Just leave us alone." And then she also has a run-in with the Krakoan, who is, his name is Hellion. I don't know if this is a new character or not. It kind of makes it seem like he's not, but then League of Comedy says this is the first appearance, so I don't know. Regardless, though, they have kind of a bit of a fight. Krakoa is essentially like, we're going to make a new island out of New York City. It is going to be the new mutant island, whether you like it or not. We're going to fucking kill all these humans. And at the end, we see he's part of a group, which also includes the other 4 Cuckoo sisters, as well as there's somebody else there. Empath is who's also there. And that's kind of the issue. So I will say, I didn't think this was amazing. I do like the idea of kind of showing the cultural side of mutants and setting that in New York City, I think is interesting, and kind of showing how these mutants are living and forming their own community inside of New York. You know, after the events of the Fall of X and after the whole Krakoan debacle, kind of seeing where they go next and how they kind of create this new community in New York, I think is a cool idea. I like that quite a bit. I like Kamala as a character quite a lot. I'm glad that she has a big focus in this book. I think the cast, it's interesting. I'm reserving judgment on some of them, but I do think like it's a unique cast, and I am happy about that. And I do think also this probably has the best hook of the 3 series so far, in the sense that I kind of have something to latch onto to be like, okay, what's going to happen there, right? X-Men, it's like, it's pretty, right now at least, I'm sure this will change, but right now it's like, it's the X-Men, it's the X-Men just going around and saving mutants, right? They're just going around and doing these kind of one-off missions saving mutants. Very similar with Jean, it's just off in space. With Phoenix, though, we do at least have, like, Pericus is kind of in the background, and that's probably going to come back in some way, but it doesn't feel very urgent. This issue, we have, like, a conflict that is built up immediately, and that feels, you know, impactful, and that feels like it is going to be consequential going forward. It feels like an urgent problem for them to solve. And so that kind of does, I think, work. I think the antagonist being here and being built up and being something that looks like it's going to continue going forward immediately gives me something to kind of hook onto in this arc, and gives kind of a more clear idea of what this arc, at least this arc, will be like, if not the, you know, a big chunk of the series. So I think I don't like this as much as Phoenix or X-Men. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. I don't think it's much worse than those series, but I don't like it as much as those series. However, I do think it does give more to latch onto immediately than some of those other series did. So I think this was decent enough, solid, but not amazing ultimately for me.
I enjoyed this for what it was, I guess. I think I enjoyed it a bit more than you did, just from the way you were talking about it. I think I liked the whole Kamala Khan. Like, I liked the focus on Kamala Khan on this one. How she was kind of like the lead. I think, I don't know. I assume they did it just because, like, she's like, I feel like probably like the best known of these.
Yeah, she absolutely is. I mean, yeah. Laura has a fan base.
Like, yeah, I would say like that. She's like the next biggest, I'd say. But I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know my mutants that well. Honestly, yeah. I could be entirely wrong on this. A Noel guy can be like the main guy, and I'm just like, yeah.
No, Laura is definitely the second most popular of these.
Yeah. Guys. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, the Krakoan guy. I think the whole idea of them, like that whole group, whatever, wanting to make a new Krakoa or whatever, as like the new, like I assume it was like just another safe haven for mutants, completely defeats the purpose of the old Krakoa in general, which was supposed to be like where mutants can coexist and stuff, and then that just like completely rewrites it and being like, yeah, we're mutants, we want to live separately, all humans are bad. Like that, I just don't.
But I think that shows the distinction between like this group of obviously not great mutants versus like the genuine good intentions of the ones who created the original Krakoa.
No, exactly. And like I know you said like last time I actually had Krakoa, like how like the evil mutants and like good mutants, so like some evil mutants were just like straight up like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I like this, like obviously this seems like that's what this group is, like just not even, because like they also want to make a new Krakoa for mutants in general. So I just don't understand the whole intention. Like I guess the intention would be like humans are still treating mutants badly, so we need a new safe haven, so all humans should just die. But like I don't.
Here's what I think this is. I think it's these guys being like, well, the humans took our home, Krakoa, from us.
Okay, yeah.
So we're gonna take their home and turn it into a new Krakoa.
Okay, yes, that makes a lot more sense. You know, that's like that whole discrimination that they've like always had. Overall, I didn't think it was horrible. I quite enjoyed it. I think it was simply because like I know a bit of Kamala Khan, and so I was like able to like actually enjoy reading something with her in it. And you know, I was introduced to a couple new characters, mostly basically everybody but Laura Kinney in this one. Honestly, all the others I had no idea about. Sophie seems fine as a character. I think she's gonna get Kamala into trouble with her family at some point.
Fun fact: she's one of Emma Frost's daughters. They're all Emma's kids. Yeah.
That's why it kind of seemed like I knew her from somewhere.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. I feel like I swear, that it sounded so familiar to me. I just really could not put my finger on it. All right. Yeah, overall, I didn't. Of the three that we've read so far, I think my least favorite would have had to be Phoenix, honestly, then this one, then X-Men.
Yeah.
If I had to put it, I think that's how it would go. I don't know what I just enjoy this one. I like the whole like idea behind the them fighting the discrimination again, honestly. Like not like that it's a good thing.
You're saying that you love racism.
Yes, I love racism. I don't know. I just think like it's kind of like heading back to like the roots of like mutant, like how like mutants written in comics in general, and so
without just putting them back in the X-Mansion again.
Exactly, and so it feels like again, it just feels like that jumping on point again. Like it's like just like the hard reset, you know. And so I think that's what it.
Even though it still deals a lot with Krakoa, that was one thing. Also, I was like, damn, this is still pretty. They're like, Krakoa this, Krakoa that.
Yeah, I had a feeling they would just completely wipe that, obviously, because that's like it was a very big thing for mutants that like Krakoa is gone and like Krakoa in general. So like I had a feeling I assumed they'd still like heavily rely on Krakoa and stuff, like but like it's not to the point where you're just like if you've heard of Krakoa, then you're just like okay, I understand. Yeah. If you've never heard of Krakoa, then obviously no idea what the fuck's going on. But if you at least know what Krakoa is, like you'd be fine reading these. But yeah, I think this one is. But besides that, I think it was. I enjoyed it for what it was, and so yeah, I would give it a 7.
I would also give it a 7, actually. Yeah. Okay, well, that would lead us into the last issue that is not a tie-in to an event. It is Something is Killing the Children, number 39, written by James Tynion IV, and the artist is Werther Dell'Edera. So, this issue can be summed up entirely in just one sentence. 4 words. Erica goes to therapy. That's it. This is my pick of the week. And yeah, part of the reason for that is I think the dialogue is just so strong, and I think it's the back and forth between Erica and this therapist, right? She doesn't want to go. She's only there to get information about the monster killings in this town, right? But in the process of going, she does open up and she peels back some of those, like we see, like again, the vulnerability of this character, which we don't see often, right? The last time we really saw that, I would say, was probably in issue number 32, where we had the flashback with her and Jessica and stuff like that, right? I think the dialogue, when the dialogue like that hits, when that emotional dialogue hits, and when Erica kind of actually has some of that vulnerability shine through. I think that's, for me, when Erica's at her most interesting. Like, she's awesome as like just a cool badass like monster killer, absolutely, and that's we get a lot of that in this series. But for me, like the stuff that helps me hook onto her character is that more human, vulnerable side to her, and I think the dialogue works really well here. It did kind of get me a little bit teary-eyed, not like full on, but like because I think it's very hard for comics to do that. By the way, just in general, like movies, when you're kind of seeing it happen and the music is playing, like that's a different. It makes it a lot easier, but it's hard for a comic to do that. So to kind of get me close to that point, right? I do think automatically that's very impressive. I think the dialogue really works. I think Erica's breakdown kind of midway through the issue was really impactful, and I think the way the therapist was kind of talking to her and trying to kind of help her resolve some of that conflict within herself was really impactful. I think it all really worked. I think the dialogue was very strong, and that's kind of what I had to say on that. I mean, ultimately, I think because I didn't like last issue very much because it felt like just this weird. It didn't feel like it was in any way like necessary to anything. It was just like a weird kind of very low key series of just issue of just Erica just passing out in a treehouse and talking to some kids who were lived at the house that had the treehouse, and that didn't work for me because I don't think the side characters were engaging. And I don't think they interacted with Erica enough to really build up a connection between the two of them, or to like really get some more like good stuff out of Erica. This one, like, there's no monster in here. I did think I was expecting this issue to be, or this series to, this arc rather, to be every issue Erica's going around and taking on a different monster or whatever, kind of a series of one-offs. But I think this really works in this context to, again, show some of the vulnerability of Erica, show the humanity of her. And I think it really works. I think it works because of that. And I think that's why this issue works and the other one didn't, because it shows the humanity and it shows more development for Erica, peels back some of those layers of her character. And that's why I think this issue is great and why it's my pick of the week.
All right. Well, honestly, hate to sound like a broken record over here, but this is my pick of the week.
Yep.
I still think this is the best comic ever. God damn it, this fucking series is so good. I enjoyed the last issue because I felt like it wasn't as it wasn't vulnerable like this one, but like we still saw part of her like human and like humanity in that last issue, whereas this one it was much more broken down. And let me just say, that therapist is insane at his job. The way he got her to open up, the way, like, everything about the conversations, like you were saying, just the dialogue, everything about it, like even her body language, I guess you should say, like at first she was just sitting down on the chair, and when things got when she started talking about Jessica's death and stuff, she had to like stand up and just like walk away for a little bit, and just like everything about everything was just amazing. It's just a very good issue, and honestly, just 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, 10 for me as well. I do wonder if we are building up to actually seeing what happened to Jessica officially, because I don't think we have seen that yet.
We know she died. I think it's insinuated, for me at least in this one, that Erica made a mistake and Jess had to like step in, and that caused her death. That, to me, it kind of sounded like it from the conversation she was having. But I mean, I could be wrong on that sense. But yeah, to me, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
I think in one of the next two issues, we will probably see that happen, because it does seem like it's kind of been building up to that a little bit with this one in particular. Okay, so once again, Absolute Power or Blood Hunt? What do you want to do?
Flip a coin.
I don't have a coin near me.
All right, well, it's 3-3 this week.
It's 2-3. It is 3-3. You're right.
Yeah. What did we start with last week? Do you remember?
We did Absolute Power first.
All right, let's do Blood Hunt first this week then.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, do you want Absolute Power?
I was gonna go Absolute Power first, but we'll go your way, Sebastian. We'll go your fancy Blood Hunt way.
We'll go Absolute Power. It's fine.
Okay, this is Absolute Power Origins #1. Let's fucking go. Written by John Ridley. The artist is Aletha Martinez, and yeah, so this is basically it's an issue detailing kind of why Amanda Waller wanted to kind of get into the anti-vigilante kind of thing, right? So it's essentially this follows pretty immediately the death of like her entire family, essentially. Not like quite, she still has like a son and a daughter, but like one of her sons died, one of her daughters died, and her husband also died trying to kill the person who killed her daughter. So he went on like a vigilante mission to kill him. Didn't work. He ended up dying. And so she then goes and starts volunteering at this campaign organization for like a Senate seat thing. And so she goes and starts volunteering for them. Really is like putting in the work. Starts working on Task Force X in the background there as well.
Yep.
And ultimately manages to get information on the person she's volunteering for's opponent that would essentially help the I don't remember the guy's name, but the person that she's working for. This would essentially guarantee that he wins the election. And he's like, I'm not gonna do it that way. I don't want to. I don't want to just fucking go that route. I want to just win this like legitimately. And Waller's like, okay. Well, I know you were looking the other way for the Candyman, who's the person who killed a lot of her family. I know you were like looking the other way on the Candyman's, all his stuff he was doing, so that way you could get kind of a cut of his profits. So, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say your wife was stealing money, which I have actually been doing, and like funneling it somewhere else. If you do not end up taking this win on the election, just take the win on the election and just do everything I say. You'll be golden. And so yeah, he agrees, and that's kind of, I think, where the issue ends, right?
Yeah, basically he wins the election and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, but okay. So the reason it's like kind of explained in the background, but like the reason she hates vigilantes so much was because like Batman brought down Joe Chill around the same time that her husband brought down Candyman, but was also shot. But like nothing happened to Batman. Like everything was like protected from him. But like for her husband, she basically lost everything. Like because he did something illegal, she didn't even get the life insurance. But for Batman, nothing happened.
And in fact, he like is working with everybody, and everybody's putting him on for jobs. Yeah.
And I guess she thought that was unfair. I guess is like.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, to be fair.
I mean, no, it is. It definitely is. Like, don't get me wrong. But like, that's at the same time, that's not Batman's fault. That's literally the corruption of the police. So like, I at the same time, I understand her like plight, but at the same time, I don't understand why she takes that out on vigilantes. Yeah. Like, I understand some vigilantes like are not the greatest. But like, I don't know. I feel like hatred completely misplaced, honestly. I don't know, man. I think it's like justified in a sense.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was pretty good. I think it was written well. It was pretty dense, but the dialogue was all interesting. I think I get the point about the kind of the motivations of Amanda being kind of potentially iffy, but at the same time, like I don't know. I've been told so much over the past year that Waller hates vigilantes and superheroes and everything that I kind of just was like automatically like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that already. So it didn't really bother me too much. And I think it was pretty well written. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 7. I think I quite enjoyed it for the most part.
No, I mean, I think it was fine. I just like after reading it, I was just like, that's why she hates vigilantes. Yeah. Like it felt like so weak compared like to how much she like truly hates them. I thought like it was something much worse. But like,
well, I think this is supposed to just be kind of the kickoff to it, right? Because we know why she really, really hates them now, and it's because she went into that other universe and saw them like just completely kill everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the reason why she started hating them feels like not weak, because again, like we said, like that's very unfair what happened to her family, but just like it feels misplaced almost for me. But besides that, like I think dialogue was good, and like while it was like a lot of dialogue, it didn't feel like super dense. Like I think the it was interesting, like how we see her come into power by like basically tricking basically everybody, honestly.
Yeah.
To the point where she was literally just like a volunteer politician, and like she rose, like we obviously see her rise to where she is now. So it's like it's very interesting to see how that actually like happens. So yeah, I think it was fine though. But so yeah, I'd also give it a 7 actually.
All right, that would mean the next one is Absolute Power Task Force 7, issue number 2. Written by John Layman, and the artist is Max Rayner. So this one has the benefit of not spoiling a future issue, unlike the last issue of the series. This is an Aquaman-centric issue where it starts off with the Doom Patrol kind of awakening on an island, or maybe it's not an island, I don't know, on a beach, after the fight between Aquaman and the Amazo robot, which in this one is called the Depth Charge.
Yes.
So the Amazo robot won and took Aquaman away. And so the Doom Patrol and Garth, Aqua Lad, or possibly Tempest. He's Tempest now.
Tempest,
I keep forgetting that. They go to Atlantis to try and save Aquaman. So the Amazo shows up to Atlantis and he's like, yo, what's up, everybody? I've got your king here. Bow down before me. I rule Atlantis now. You don't have to worry. We're not going after you. We just want to kill all the metahumans. But you guys are fine. Just, don't interfere and like chill out with me ruling you. And they're like, fuck that, everybody. We're going to fucking go to war with you. And then Aquaman is like, no, do not kill yourselves all in this war for me. Do not die to this war just because of Aquaman being captured and everything. And so they kind of stand down, and then the Amazo gets pissed. He's like, no, they listen to me, not to you, you fucker. So then I don't know. At some point, the Atlanteans do end up kind of attacking the Amazo robot. Yes. It also helps that the Doom Patrol and Garth also get there, and so kind of in that whole fray. They managed to get Aquaman out of there. They have to be very careful about it because he has gotten his powers absorbed, so he can't breathe underwater anymore. He's just man. He's no longer Aqua. And so I think they just that's kind of it, right? They just escape, and that's kind of it.
There's the bit with the Amazo robot with Aquaman's powers, he can also tickle fish, and when he goes to Atlantis, he calls a bunch of sharks.
Yeah.
And so I guess like the backlash of like calling that many sharks, I guess, is that like you're in their mind, but they're also in your mind. And so like their like murderous like intent, like the depth charge is like suppressing it, but in doing that, it like backdrafts into himself.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's like so aggressive towards Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
Which, now that I think about it, it wasn't Aquaman's power. It was one of the Doom Patrols, whose name I don't know.
Yeah, that was like the one Doom Patrol member whose name I didn't know. I knew everybody else. And then there's the ending part where Steel and Steve Trevor are hanging out in Gamora, and Steel's like, "Here's your new office, Steve." And Steve picks up the phone. He notices there's like a listening device on it, and he's like, he kind of thinks that either Steel is trying to set him up for like to and say that he's contacting Diana or whatever, or that he's just actually trying to listen for him contacting Diana, and Steel's like, "You're too smart for your own good," and then he just kind of fucking knocks him out, and that's kind of that. Which is also like, why recruit him in the first place though? I don't really understand what the deal is going on there.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I thought it was fine. It's kind of nice to see that like we're getting a bit more into the Amazo robots, which is nice because like they're still super mystery, and like it's interesting to see that like each of them have their own like personality and quirks, I guess. And it's also nice to see that like while they can have all the superpowers, like having that much power in itself is like there's like some drawbacks. I don't know if it was specifically that power that this one absorbed that has that just drawback in general, or if like each of them with that much power has like their own drawbacks. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think Depth Charge was cool and all. 7.
I think I'm also gonna give it a 7. Yeah. Okay, on to Green Arrow number 14 here, written by Joshua Williamson, and the artists are Sean Izaakse and Amanke Nahuelpan. So this one is kind of primarily focused on the Arrow family and not so much Ollie himself. Starts out with the Arrow family kind of talking to Batman and Nightwing over a kind of a hologram kind of thing.
Yep.
And Batman's like, "Stay there, everybody. Just stay on the island. Don't do anything stupid. Stay there. Nobody's going after you so far. Just stay where you are. You have to help us all out later, so just stay there." And Roy and everybody else, but mostly Roy, are like, "Absolutely fucking not. We're going to go." And they're like, "We're going to go and find Professor Ivo, the creator of the Amazo robots, and then we can figure out how to shut them all down and stop them and everything." We cut to Ollie then. He's looking at a screen and he's like, "Hey, I've got a plan. We got some stuff going on. Here's a plan." And then that other guy's like, "We're going to fucking kill you once this is all over, Ollie. Don't you fucking worry about it. We're going to kill all of you." And so then it cuts back to the Arrow family. They have found Professor Ivo's base. And in so doing, they go down there and they discover that Ivo has been working on the Tomorrow Woman, who is somebody I am not familiar with. And so there's a bit of a fight there. They do some fighting and all that stuff. And then Bright shows up at the end. And it's like, all right, mate, let's fucking go. I'm going to kill everybody here, mate. And,
He's Australian.
He's Australian. He's an Australian robot. And that's kind of the issue, right? Am I missing much here?
The Arrow Cave.
Oh yeah, they have an Arrow Cave now. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're not missing anything at all. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah. You explained it all.
I voted it's away. That's the other thing, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean that's where Bright comes in anyway. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is fine. You know, perfect tie-in. Moves the story along. I think so. I think it's fine. Honestly, don't have a lot to say on it. I guess it's kind of unclear whether Green Arrow is truly on Amanda's side or not.
Seems like he's probably not.
I think it's just a super deep, like undercover thing, which he obviously has to do to trick Amanda. But
I do think that Waller probably knows and just doesn't care. She doesn't think it'll matter.
I mean, I think that for me is not a very Waller thing to think about, right? She obviously cares to a point. I think she's just waiting to see what he is specifically going to do, which is why she constantly has him under like surveillance by somebody, you know. But I think it'd be very like careless of her to think that just because it's Green Arrow that he can't do anything.
I think it's more that she thinks that it is more valuable to have him there. And then like that outweighs any potential damage he could do.
Okay. Well, anyway, besides that, regardless, I think it was fine. It was all right. 7 still probably.
That's pretty much where I am with it too. I don't know. Yeah. This series, I kind of always fall into that area. It kind of just doesn't ever really feel like that much happens. More happens here than usual, I would say, in this series. Yeah. They do like a mission and everything, but it's just kind of it's very standard superhero stuff. I don't know. I'm honestly, if this run was not ending in like 2 issues after the Absolute Power thing, I probably would not continue picking it up. But it's wrapping up like right after Absolute Power, and then a new writer's taking over. So I'll probably check it out and see how that new writer does for a little bit. But yeah, this series is just kind of okay for me right now. So I'm giving it a 7 as well. That would move us over to Blood Hunt this week, which is Strange Academy Blood Hunt number 3 is the first one of this Blood Hunt block, and I gotta say I didn't like it. I don't think it's very good. It's written by Danielle Jose Older, and the artist is, we have a couple, it's Eric Gapster and Luigi Zagaria. So, I fucking just read this, and I barely remember what happened. It's like Pia is in fucking Madripoor with the Darkhold kid. Yep. They kind of are clowning around. Darkhold is like, hey, I'm willing to let vampires survive. I won't use the Montesi formula. If you can show me that vampires are, they have potential, they have a reason to be around. And so he sent like a bunch of people, or potentially vampires themselves, I'm not entirely sure, at Pia. And Pia's like kind of trying to fight them off, but is not doing very well. And then Ada the Harkness shows up and is like, hey, what up here, everybody? And like steals the Darkhold magic from the Darkhold kids. He's just like a kid now, it seems. And so he's like, wait, no, please, Pia, wait, don't kill me. I want to be a normal person. I want to live a normal life. That's what I want. And Pia's like, all right, cool, let's do it then. And then the rest of Strange Academy show up. They do some fighting, and then the Strange Academy is like, hey, you want to come back to Strange Academy and hang out with us there, Darkhold kid? And then at the very end, they use the coin that Dr. Doom gave them to teleport to Latveria. And Doom's like, all right, we can do this thing to take out all the vampires, but it's going to cost you guys everything. And that's where the issue ends. So ultimately, a couple things with this. I think Strange Academy, the way they're written, it's just very generic and not full of a lot of depth. And I just don't think they're that interesting in this. Also, weird cover, by the way. Like, this does not happen in the issue.
Yeah, no.
Like, there is no point where Dr. Doom is really fighting the Strange Academy kids. I don't know why that's there. I think also, it just, the turn of the Darkhold kid is so fucking abrupt and out of nowhere. Yep. It just feels like a nothing thing to do. I just think it's really poorly written how it just flips out of nowhere. Also, this synopsis for the issue, just straight up false advertising. The kids have found the Darkhold and are ready to cast a spell to destroy all vampires. The kids are not trying to cast a spell to destroy all vampires. They are past that already. But they don't have the power to do so. Will Doctor Doom help them? No, he's barely in this. So yeah, I think just bland and more than that, a really weird, abrupt heel turn from a character that feels completely unearned. And the dialogue I think is pretty annoying. I don't know, just all around, just pretty bland and not great and kind of irritating.
Yeah, honestly, I think character development here is lacking a bit. Darkhold flipped so abruptly. Like, genuinely, he seemed to just be like an evil, like generally like a personification of the Darkhold, just like supposed to be like an evil being or whatever. And then he just flips all of a sudden to being like, I just wanted this entire time to be a regular boy while I was traveling with Agatha. She only wanted to use me for my powers and never for the person that I am. I want to know who I am. It's just like, that is not what your thing was like 2 issues ago. Like, what the just happened? Like, that was just super weird. Agatha being in this, I don't understand. I am so lost on if she's evil or not to these Strange Academy kids. Like, if she helped, like I think it was last issue, she helped 2 of them get to the rest of them, and then this one they all fight against her, including the 2 that she just helped. So I don't understand that. Doom was in this barely, I guess. I don't really have much to say on Doom, honestly. Yeah.
New mask, same task, Sebastian.
New mask, there it is. New mask, same task. So yeah, new mask, same task, I guess. But lackluster, and I think the only one I liked out of these ones was the second one.
Yeah, I don't remember the second one well enough to say whether or not I liked it. So I'm just gonna
say I remember reading it and being like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And then I remember reading this one and I was like, wow, that was just not good. All right.
I think of the miniseries that they spun up for this event, this has been the worst of them. I'm like, this is the one where I'm really like,
yes.
I don't know why it exists.
To be fair, I was not looking forward to reading this ever. I read one Strange Academy book when I first came out again, and I was like, man, that I didn't understand it, so I stopped reading it. So I wasn't looking forward to this one either. So yeah, 6.
I'm giving it a 4. I thought it was bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it at 6.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it was bad and boring and kind of annoying. So okay, that would bring us to Vengeance of the Moon Knight, issue number 7, written by Jed MacKay. And the artist is Alessandro Capuccio. As for the issue, though, this fills in the blanks as to what the mission was like to go and free Khonshu from that Asgard area he was and get Mark resurrected. So the first kind of third of this issue is showing Tigra, Hunter's Moon, and the Wrecker going and letting Khonshu out of that place where the Asgardians were holding him. So for that first 30 issue, it does give us some new stuff, but it's not a whole lot. It is kind of mostly like, even the stuff that is technically new is like, we could have filled in the blanks on that. But then, once Khonshu is out, then he does go and he resurrects Mark Spector, Moon Knight, not as a zombie Moon Knight, but as actually him. And that actually answered a major question I had, because in Blood Hunt number 4, when we saw Moon Knight come back, wasn't entirely clear if it was really like if he was all there, but it seems like he mostly is. So he and Tigra reunite. They have a bit of a heart-to-heart. They have kind of a whole, like, they're like, we'll, we gotta go finish this Blood Hunt, but after that, we'll be good. And then they all go, Khonshu assigns each of them to lead a different team, including the Wrecker. That was kind of the one thing about this issue I didn't like, actually, is that the Wrecker just kind of gets baited into going along with, leading one of these teams. And then, because he's essentially like, I'm not doing this. I did my part. I'm out. And Mark does the whole, are you fucking chicken, man? You little chicken shit. And the Wrecker's like, nobody calls me chicken. I'll fight in any fight. And then Mark's like, you hear that, Khonshu? He's with us. And then Rector's like, hey, no, wait a second. And then they're like, all right, cool, let's go. It just felt kind of like weird and like a failed attempt at comedy that I just didn't find very believable either. I kind of hate that plot kind of point where they just bait people into doing stuff by calling them chicken. Like, that's a Back to the Future kind of thing. Like, I don't know why we're doing that here. Regardless, though, they all go off with their separate teams. They're like, let's go finish this Blood Hunt after the issue ends. First third, I think, was good enough, but not amazing. Again, we kind of already seen a lot of it. But that middle point where they show Mark being resurrected, they show Khonshu kind of going into the whole area of the Fists of Khonshu in his domain. And when you see that double page spread where Mark just steps out, oh my God, man, fucking glorious. I loved it. That whole sequence was just so amazing. The art is fantastic. It's just, it's so like, kind of streaky and moody and such this great way. Just really great stuff. That whole sequence was amazing. I really liked the reunion between him and Tigra. And I think the cliffhanger is great. Like, yes, I'm so happy to see Mark back. Like, I do give Marvel shit a lot. And I still feel this way for just resurrecting characters immediately after they die. They do that a lot. And I mean, Mark, like, he was not dead for long. He was dead for like 8 months or 7 months, maybe even only like 6 months. He was not dead for long, but still, like, seeing him stride out of there, it felt really earned. It felt really like, it just felt like it was a massive payoff to this whole thing that I think has been built up very well. And seeing him kind of step out of there, and just that whole sequence was just so, I thought, magnificent and awesome. And just, it's really good to have Mark back. Genuinely, it's so cool to see him back. So I loved this issue. This was actually a contender for my pick of the week. It's not, obviously, but I thought this was just really, really great.
Interesting. So I'm gonna ask you a question here.
Okay.
Was this a Blood Hunt tie-in?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Because it shows them executing their plan that they made in Blood Hunt. It shows how you get from, Blood Hunt. It shows how you get from the start of Blood Hunt 4 to the end point of Blood Hunt 4, right? It's filling in the gaps as to the mission that led to the big moment in Blood Hunt number 4. And it's just setting all that up.
This,
like, there aren't vampires in it, but I don't think there has to be vampires in it to make it a Blood Hunt issue. If it is filling in the backstory as to how certain events in Blood Hunt got to the point where they are,
I'll give it to you. You explained it well. But this was a Moon Knight issue. It wasn't Blood Hunt.
Well, it's both.
Honestly, it had nothing to do with Blood. No, I'm not gonna say it had nothing to do with Blood Hunt. But yeah, man, I missed the vampires. There were no vampires.
Oh my
This
gosh.
was a pure Moon Knight issue. Had nothing, no vampires. I thought it was all right. I didn't read Moon Knight, the original one, so I didn't really feel the impact of Mark coming back, whatever. Wrecker was just dumb, and I also didn't like the fact that Mark was just like, "You chicken?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm not chicken." I thought that was just stupid. And yeah, I think this one was fine. I really don't have I don't have much to say on Moon Knight coming back from the dead. Again, because like I said, I didn't read him dying in the first place. I knew he did die. I knew he was coming back, obviously. Nobody ever stays dead. Except for Uncle Ben.
And Gwen.
616
Gwen stays dead, I will say. And Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, he has also stayed dead.
But it was a fine read. I like, it wasn't it wasn't bad by any means. I think it was just fine. I didn't feel the impact of Mark coming back or whatever, which I think was like the biggest thing about this issue, was seeing him actually coming back from the dead. And so, yeah, the impact was lost on me here, but other than that, I think it was a fine read. It was nothing special for me, at least. So yeah, 7.
I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah,
I loved it. It's almost a 10 for me, but yeah, just not quite. I do think that there's probably going to be something that was lost when Mark comes back this time. I think there's going to be something that he had to give up for that this time. And I'm excited to see if that does end up happening, and I'm excited to see that kind of develop. I think that will happen. I just don't think they're going to do it right yet, because it's more about, like, he needs to go finish Blood Hunt. So I don't think they're going to really start going to that yet. But I think that'll be a plot point in the new series, is he's starting to kind of lose something because of that resurrection this time. That's my guess. Yeah.
I mean, I could see that, yes, but at the same time, it wasn't his choice to come back. Khonshu just resurrected him.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of dumb if he had to pay for something to be resurrected when it wasn't he didn't fight to become resurrected,
But the previous part of this Moon Knight run did also explain that every time a Fist of Khonshu dies and comes back from the dead, they lose a bit of their mind in the process.
Oh, well, see, in that case, I didn't have context. In that case, yeah, he's gonna go cuckoo crazy, and they're gonna have to kill him again. There it is.
They're not gonna kill him again. They just killed him and brought him back from the dead. He's gonna be around for a little while again. But yeah, 9. I loved it. Next issue, it's the final issue of the episode. It is Wolverine Blood Hunt number 4, written by
final issue of the series
Waltz.
Too.
Yeah, final issue of the series. Thank God, honestly. Written by Tom Waltz. The artist is Juan Jose Reap. Yeah, so, I mean, okay. Basically what happens here, Wolverine gets his thoughts infiltrated by Alyssa, who's like, "Be my king, Wolverine. Yep. We're going to become the royalty of the vampires. Kill Maverick for me." So he tries to kill Maverick. Maverick has a big fight with Maverick, and then Night Guard ends up showing up after she like takes out the command center of the vampire base. So then she goes over to Wolverine, or actually they go to her. Actually, they're like Alyssa's like, oh, the command center's down. Let's go check it out. So they go over there. Logan is about to kill Night Guard, but then he's about to kill Maverick while they're still fighting in that command center, and then Night Guard is like, this isn't you, Logan, and I'm gonna cure you of your vampirism. And so she stabs him again with a sword, and that somehow like cures him of his vampirism. I don't know if it like kickstarts his healing factor kind of back into play. And
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. But so anyway, after that, they take down Alyssa. They don't kill her, but they kind of take her down. And Louise is like, I'll look after this. And then Logan and Louise make out on a beach, and that's the end.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. So one question for you, right?
Yeah.
Is Maverick still a vampire?
That's a good question. He might be.
Because at the end, it really didn't seem like it. Because you see him at the end, right? After like Alyssa's out of his head. And it really didn't seem like it.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to why Miles is still a vampire. I
think Maverick should be, though. Just to my knowledge, he doesn't have a healing factor, so that wouldn't have worked on him. Unless he does. Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't think he would, though, because he seemed to be like kind of freaked out by actually dying to Wolverine in this. So, yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe there was some loophole where they didn't kill Alyssa, though, did they? I don't think they did.
I really don't remember if they did or not.
Because maybe they killed her and then he just kind of turned back to normal.
Yeah, then that would make sense because I'd assume she turned him.
Right. I don't know. Again, I land on this issue where I have with the whole series. It's fine. Logan does too many quips. I took pictures this time. I have it nearby. Hang on. Let me share some of the quips that Logan does in this issue.
Let's see it.
Okay, I only took pictures of 2 of them in this one, but here we go. Okay, yeah, when Logan is a Wolverine, or Jesus.
Yes, nice.
When Logan is a vampire and he's fighting Maverick, who's also a vampire, he says, "See, so much frustration. Seriously, what's eating you? Dumb pun. Fuck you, Logan." Then, like right after that, he's like slicing Maverick in the chest, and he says, "Cross your heart, hope to die." And I'm just like, Logan, stop making these fucking puns and quips and all that shit. It's just like, I don't think he's written very well. The action's fine, the art's good, but the story was bland, and I think the quips really dragged this one down. I think the last issue was the most was the best of the 4. The most recent one, number 3.
Yeah.
Even still, though, I had a problem with all the quips and everything, and I just think this series kind of bland. I didn't really love it. So yeah, I still don't think this one's all that good either.
I mean, I do agree with you that number 3 was my favorite as well. I think this one was fine, I guess. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was fine. I think the Alyssa bit going into Logan's mind or whatever. I think she could have done. I thought she could do that. Like she kind of made it seem like she could do it without Logan being a vampire. But the fact that he was a vampire just made everything just that much like the deal just that much better.
I don't think she could do that without him being a vampire.
The way she was talking about it kind of made me think that that's how it was. Maybe. But like, I don't know. I think it's fine though. I think Maverick was dumb, honestly. And then I liked Night Guard. So yeah,
I do like Night Guard. Yeah.
Alyssa was also dumb. No, she wasn't dumb, but I think it's like I don't like her whole like what was it?
Motivation.
Motivation. That's the word. Her whole motivation was like to me kind of dumb. That she just wanted to be queen of all vampires, but like that realistically that never worked. I feel like because there's just so many strong vampires that like it would never work. I think it's fine. 6.
I'm also giving it a 6. And that would wrap it up for this episode of the podcast. Next week, we've got some more Absolute Power stuff with the next issue of Absolute Power Task Force 7, actually, the one with the Green Lantern Amazo robot. We have also got the last week of Blood Hunt. We have the finale of Blood Hunt next week, as well as the Midnight Suns Blood Hunt and Fantastic Four tie-ins that wrap up that whole event. We've also got the next chapter in the Infinity Watch event, little mini event thing, the Miss Marvel annual. Hopefully it's as good as the last issue, because I loved the last issue, and Sebastian did too.
Yep.
Next up, we've also got the Department of Truth is next week. Very excited for that. Love that series. It's fantastic. I'm so excited to see where that series is going. New issues of Immortal Thor and Ultimate Spider-Man, both of which I very much enjoy. And the next X-Men book as well, X-Force, is also starting next week. Anything you want to shout out on your end?
Well, we got Spider-Gwen.
Boo!
Whatever, man.
All right, well, that would that wraps it up for this this episode, as mentioned. Thank you everybody for watching or listening, as always. If you are on YouTube, you can of course like the video if you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos, and you can also hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when we post new videos so you do not miss them. You can also leave us a comment, let us know what some of your favorite comic stuff from the past little bit has been, what some of your thoughts on the state of comics are as a whole, what some of your recommendations for us are that we may not already be reading. You can also get in touch with us through our email address, earthsmightiestcomicspod@gmail.com. That is all one word. And you can also follow the show on Spotify as well if you would like to make sure you do not miss any episodes over there. So yeah, thank you guys already for watching or listening as always. We will see you all in the next episode. Remember, new mask, same task.